is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Tonight, some of the CFL's best players go head-to-head. Cowtown will be full of talent for a meeting of the Calgary Stampeders and Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The lights on the CFL marquee shine brightly for the game's biggest stars. As an established box office draw, Doug Flutie needs no introduction. 3 times the league's most outstanding player, Flutie last week rebounded from a subpar start in the season opener. He played to rave reviews in Baltimore, completely in sync with his supporting cast. He found his receivers and hit the holes, and head coach Wally Buono was delighted to see his superstar back on form. On the marquee for the Bombers, who else but the quarterback who shot the lights out last week? Matt Dunnigan talks the talk, but he also walks the walk. A record 713 yards passing in Week 2 proves it. Coming soon to a stadium near you, 2 of the CFL star attractions, leading 2 of its best teams. Calgary Stampeders are the last team in the CFL to play their home opener. They were expecting about 25,000 fans to witness it at McMahon Stadium. Stamps tuned up with a convincing win in Baltimore a week ago tonight. They'll need peak performance this evening because the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were on a different planet last week. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Calgary. Doug Flutie against Matt Dunnigan. Does that not suggest this game could showcase the CFL at its wide-open best? 9 days later, the football world is still buzzing over Matt Dunnigan's out-of-body quarterback experience in Winnipeg. It's likely not reasonable to expect him to ever pass for 700 yards again in a single game, but he's got defensive backs the league over very nervous, and the 2 on the spot for Calgary tonight, cornerbacks Junior Thurman and Douglas Kraft, who somehow have to try and shut down the explosive combinations of Dunnigan to Alfred Jackson and to David Williams. Stamps also must pressure Dunnigan up front. They acknowledge that, and it's equally important for the Bombers to try and contain Doug Flutie, lest the scoreboard here at McMahon go on overload. Now let's hear from Don Whitman and James Curry.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. James, no one was more amazed at Matt Dunnigan's passing performance last week than Doug Flutie. Flutie is also capable of putting some big numbers on the board, but Winnipeg last year had problems with Flutie's running. 76 yards the first time they met, 100 yards the second time, and Flutie is coming off an 82-yard rushing performance against Baltimore.
Well, it was vintage Flutie carrying the football last week on the ground in Baltimore. He had the 122-yard touchdown to put the game out of reach, but Doug Flutie is one of those quarterbacks, Don, that is very capable at any moment of putting 500 yards up on the statistic board on his own right.
Last week he passed for 284 yards. As I said, it was his running that caused Baltimore problems, and I think the Winnipeg linebackers are very aware of Doug Flutie's scrambling abilities.
Well, they have 4 of the better linebackers in the CFL, and these guys are going to have their hands full tonight. They line up in all different positions. They're very interchangeable, and it's going to be very key how well they contain Doug Flutie and not let him out of the pocket tonight.
They have an extra defensive back dressed for tonight's game, and Anthony Shelton could come in obvious passing situations, replacing Tawan Temple. Scott?
Okay, Don, they just finished up the national anthem here at McMahon, performed in the south end zone of the stadium on a baby grand piano by Tammy Christopher, a local sportscaster. She did it brilliantly. We wanted to make note of that after the fiasco in Las Vegas last week. We think we have the most anticipated game of Week 3 of the CFL schedule, and one of the reasons why is that fellow, Alfred Jackson, who caught a Bomber team record 7 receptions for 308 yards. He's often referred to as the best athlete on a talented squad. There's no shortage of talent on the Calgary side either. From Doug Flutie on to Dave Sapunjas on the Stampeder roster. 2 CFL powerhouses then, marquee players, and a gorgeous summer evening. This game's got it all going for it. 27 degrees. There is, though, a 40% chance of rain, but it's been hot 3 days running in Calgary. So we're about set for the only regular season matchup of the Calgary Stampeders and Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Here again, Don and James.
Thank you, Scott, and this is the only time, as you mentioned, that the 2 teams will meet this year. Calgary will not travel to Winnipeg. Wally Buono in the season opener against the Saskatchewan Roughriders lost a football game in the month of July for the first time since taking over as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, but he rectified that loss and bounced back last week with a 42-16 win over Baltimore. Cal Murphy has directed the Bombers to a 1-1 start, an impressive 50-35 triumph over Edmonton last week. Winnipeg is the #2 team in the CFL with wins in the 90s. Calgary leads with 51. Winnipeg has won 47 games in the 90s. Can Matt Dunnigan even come close to last week's performance? As Matt himself said, it's a different game, a different team, a different set of circumstances. Doug Flutie, of course, has a best passing performance in one game of 582 yards, and he has marveled in discussions many times at the performance of Matt Dunnigan last week.
Well, I think everyone throughout football, whether it's CFL, NFL, college football, has marveled at what Matt Dunnigan was able to do last week against the Edmonton Eskimos. I mean, it was one of those nights that will go down in infamy when you speak about quarterback numbers and performances. You know, he had a remarkable game. Alfred Jackson stepped up to the plate. David Williams stepped up to the plate, and the team just played miraculously.
Winnipeg won the toss. They have deferred the choice to the second half, so Winnipeg will kick off, Calgary to receive. Coleman will take the ball at the 20-yard line. Coleman finds an opening up the middle, and he's going to get a great return. He is cut from behind and hauled down by Gerald Alphin at the Winnipeg 25-yard line.
Don, what a great way to start a football game, special teams. We saw it last week in Baltimore with Pee Wee Smith with his touchdown return on the punt. You'll see Coleman here. He comes right up to his wall. He breaks it to the right, and as he gets up the middle, he finds a seam and brings it back out to the side, and he's off to the races. Only Gerald Alfred, with a great effort from behind, is able to drag him down at the 27, Don.
A 63-yard kickoff return. It's 1st and 10, Calgary. The ball is at the Winnipeg 27-yard line. Flutie operating out of the shotgun. Flutie throwing deep for Pitts. Touchdown! Wow, talking about lightning striking. The Calgary Stampeders with a 63-yard kickoff return on the first play. Put it in the end zone. Flutie to Alan Pitts for a 27-yard touchdown.
When you talk about a motivator, what you need, you get the kickoff, Don, to get you fit, get your team in great field position to start a drive. You get Doug Flutie coming in. I mean, you couldn't ask for a more perfect situation from him, because he's the big play quarterback who will capitalize on any opportunity.
Mark McLaughlin now to attempt the contact.
Doug Flutie will hold as Mark McLaughlin attempts the extra point. And this game is just 34 seconds old, and Alan Pitts has the Calgary Stampeders in front by a score of 7-0.
Well, you get Alan Pitts right here. They tried to cover him with Clemens, the linebacker. It's just too much speed. Clemens let him release it outside. There was no defensive back there to pick him up on the back end. He thought he had a combo. Alan Pitts all alone. Doug Flutie getting a little pressure from Randolph from behind, stepped up in the pocket. He laid it out for perfect for Pitts. You see Clemens trying to catch up, and Pitts jubilated his second touchdown reception of the season.
Pitts got off to a great start this year against Saskatchewan with 9 catches in his first game. He had a strong game last week against Baltimore, and he's picking up where he left off last Saturday night in Baltimore. Alan Pitts with his second touchdown of the season, and Calgary leads Winnipeg by a score of 7-0.
Well, Calgary got the big break early, and they're looking right now to roll this momentum over to their special teams, and defense is going to be very key if they can get down and pin Winnipeg down after this kickoff to hold them in negative field position.
Keith Woodside and Ken Barres are back for the kickoff, and Woodside will take it for Winnipeg, and Woodside, playing in place of Blaze Bryant, brings the ball back to the 31-yard line. Jim Trishon was upfield to make the tackle. Well, can Matt Dunnigan respond to the opening salvo that Doug Flutie fired to put the Stampeders in front by a score of 7-0?
Well, you look at Matt's numbers right there, Don, averaging 523 yards a game passing. Just phenomenal numbers. We don't know if he'll be able to duplicate one of those performances tonight, but he'll give him his best effort.
Number 4 all-time in passing yardage in the CFL, and Dunnigan is going to throw on his first attempt over the head of Alfred Jackson. He went to Jackson 7 times for 308 yards in the record performance against the Edmonton Eskimos last week.
Well, they were very in sync last week, but on that first play, as you could see, Alfred broke that off on the inside, and Matt threw it to the outside, and they were just on the wrong page, and it's going to leave them with a 2nd and 10.
Jackson, with 4 touchdown catches last week, became only the 11th player in CFL history to grab 4 touchdown passes during the course of the game.
And one of those 4 was an 88-yarder.
Dunnigan will air it out, and he throws deep for Williams. He's got it on the sidelines. Well, this, from the early indication, is going to be quite an aerial circus tonight at McMahon Stadium as Dunnigan goes to Williams for 47 yards.
Well, Don, one of the advantages that David Williams possesses, he's a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver. You see Matt straight back in the pocket. He airs it out. He throws it up high. David waits on the ball. He sees it in flight, comes back. Thurman was not able to recover before bringing him down at the 32-yard line.
1st and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 32. Number 4 all-time in touchdown receptions in the CFL. David Williams has crossed the goal line 76 times. Dunnigan for Wilcox, and Wilcox is going to take it down to the 6. Boy, what a matchup when you've got quarterbacks with the passing skills of a Dunnigan and a Flutie, and with receivers such as Gerald Wilcox. This football tonight, I'm sure, is going to move up and down the artificial turf here at McMahon Stadium. This is the way the Bombers line up Woodside, the only change offensively, replacing Blaze Bryant, who has a slight leg injury. And Gerald Wilcox has put the Bombers into a 1st and goal situation with a 26-yard pickup from the 6-yard line. Dunnigan looks into the end zone, touchdown, wide open, Gerald Alpha. Actually, Dunnigan had the pick of 2 receivers as he had Williams and Alphen both wide open in the end zone. So Matt Dunnigan has accepted the challenge. He has responded to the opening touchdown that Doug Flutie fired to Alan Pitts, and he put together a drive capped by this touchdown toss to Gerald Alphen.
Well, just a great drive, you know, to answer the drive that Calgary marched down one play after the opening kickoff, and Matt Dunnigan able to move his team methodically down the field to get them on the scoreboard for their first major.
Troy Westwood with the point after, and this football game is tied at 7, 11:58 remaining in the opening quarter here at McMahon Stadium.
You can hear every second of exciting action on QR77 radio throughout the 1994 season. Broadcast begin an hour before kickoff and continue through the 5th quarter phone-in show. Join Mike Lonsgrove for the play-by-play on Calgary Stampeder Radio, QR77. Ladies and gentlemen, your 1994 Outriders, sponsored by Tropicana Juices and Software Athletics.
That was an impressive drive Matt Dunnigan put together, and when you look at Winnipeg receivers, you have to be impressed with their size. Alfred Jackson, 6 feet, 185. David Williams, 6'4", 195. Gerald Wilcox, 6'2", 215. And Gerald Alphen, the man who scored the touchdown, 6'3", 210.
And Don, their size was a key to them being able to go down and score the touchdown. Williams able to out-jump Thurman. Alphen able to use his body, push off of Kenton Leonard, the defensive back, in the end zone. They were trying to run a man and jam him at the line of scrimmage, but Alphen rather, able to use his size, get the separation. Matt found him floating in the back of the end zone for the touchdown.
79 yards on just 3 plays in a span of 2:06 as Troy Westwood again prepares to kick off.
It could be a busy night for the kickers.
Coleman and Smith are back. 11:58 the time remaining in the opening quarter with the game tied at 7. Pee Wee Smith will take it this time. He starts out from the 17-yard line. He's going to run out of room over on the far side of the field, tackled by Bobby Evans, but there was a flag on the field back at the kickoff point, so this likely is an
this penalty and take the ball at the 33-yard line. You want to force them to come back down. They have to run a full sprint to cover that.
Offside, Winnipeg number 55, kickoff repeated.
Tawan Temple in his first CFL game, just a little anxious to get upfield on the special teams.
And you know, you talk about Tawan Temple, very interesting story. He, along with McAllen, the defensive end, most of these players did not play major college football. They were JC players. Cal, as usual, finds these players in the tryout camps that Winnipeg holds so oftenly, and he's found 2 starters in a surprising way.
From East Mississippi Junior College, 6'1", 235 pounds. He has replaced Dell Lyles in the Winnipeg lineup. And Cal Murphy is giving some instruction to Troy Westwood as the Bombers will kick off now from the 30-yard line.
Well, Cal wasn't too pleased by his team being offsides. It looked like he might have been taking it out on Troy right there on the sideline. Troy said, hell, all I did was kick the ball, and they ran offsides.
Last year in the season opener here at McMahon Stadium, on the 6th of July, Calgary won by a score of 54-34. When the teams met in Winnipeg on August 3rd, Calgary won 40-35. This is the only time these two teams will meet this season. So unless they win their respective divisions and meet in Vancouver in the Grey Cup, this will be the only Winnipeg-Calgary matchup. Westwood this time drives it deeper to Coleman. Coleman has to retreat to the 11. They tried to set up the return up the middle, but Tawan Temple is there to make the tackle, and he brings Coleman down at the 29-yard line. A 16-yard return after a 69-yard kickoff.
Well, he was about a stride short of hitting that seam, but that's what the discipline on the special teams will give you. Coleman came down in his lane. Well, Temple came down in his lane, and as Coleman made the break back up the middle, Temple was there to drop him in his tracks.
Stampeders scrimmage, first and 10.
Flutie 1 for 1 in the passing department. Dunnigan 3 for 3. Flutie operates from behind the center this time, and Flutie is going to throw that quick pass to Pee Wee Smith, and this will be a first down up at the 44-yard line. There was also a penalty flag on the play.
Well, you got Bill McCollums, who came into the game late. It could be close to an illegal substitution right here, what we're looking at. Got an illegal jam there at the line of scrimmage. Got a hand up in the face probably of Pee Wee Smith.
This is the lineup of the Calgary Stampeders. This is the identical lineup to the one that beat the Baltimore Colts 42-16. The Baltimore CFLers.
Oh, I didn't want to get in that with you, because your pocket's a little deeper than mine if you get sued.
That mistake is going to be made frequently, I'm sure.
15-yard gain to Pee Wee Smith stands. It's
first and 10, the ball is at the 44. 7-7 is the score. Flutie operating from the shotgun. 4 receivers to the left. Flutie is going to throw deep. Will Moore extends for a fantastic catch down at the 30-yard line.
Marvelous concentration by Will Moore. Only as a receiver who gives up his body can go out and do it. We have a couple of flags on the field and look like we're going to get some penalties tacked onto this on top of the great game by Will Moore. But Doug Flutie showing great presence in the pocket, being able to get that ball down the field.
Forward pass interference, Winnipeg number 19, decline, first down.
The interference against Donald Smith declined. The 38-yard gain will stand.
Well, they've been going up in the face of these Calgary receivers, and right there you see him hooking Pee Wee Smith, but they have not been able to get any pressure thus far on Doug Flutie. And when you can't get pressure on Doug Flutie, he will victimize you like this.
That's the first catch of the year for Will Moore. It's first and 10 Calgary. The ball is at the Winnipeg 27. First running play of the night, and Stewart takes the ball to the 21-yard line.
Tony Stewart had an outstanding game last week in Baltimore. Coming into his own, he really hurt him when he left the game in Saskatchewan. Their only loss this year.
Winnipeg with Temple taking over for Dell Lyles at a linebacking position. And they have an extra defensive back dressed, Anthony Shelton. and he will likely see a fair bit of action as Winnipeg uses 6 defensive backs during the course of this game.
Well, they got the 6-pack in right now, Calgary does, so you know they're going to throw it.
Will Moore makes the catch. Will Moore takes it down to the 7-yard line.
Will Moore, almost a forgotten man in the receiving corps, coming into this game with only 2 receptions. A little frustrated, you know, coming in, make that no receptions. His second one of the night. And right here, you'll get him one-on-one. He's in the trips to right. He comes underneath. Flutie finds him working one-on-one against Sampson. He takes it back to the outside and gets down to the 7-yard line.
9:33 remaining in the opening quarter. First and goal, Calgary. Flutie operating from the shotgun. 4 players make it are down as Flutie was throwing to a spot, it would appear. And it was either Brian Wiggins or Alan Pitts who was the receiver that Flutie thought was going to get to that open spot, but they were involved in collisions with the 2 Winnipeg defensive backs.
Well, what you had here was Wiggins and Moore getting tied up in the same spot. They looked like they tried to run a wheel, end up being a train wreck over there in the corner of the end zone, and the ball just flew out. And the official saw that no one gained an advantage, and he did the proper thing by not throwing a flag.
That was a solid 4-player collision. It will be second and goal from the 7. Flutie has Stewart open. Did he break the play? No signal. Yes, he did. He got to the goal line and then was pushed back, but the official ruled that he did break the play. And so the Calgary Stampeders have their second touchdown of the game.
Don, we might have to go get some oxygen masks of our own up here. I mean, we've seen a marvelous offensive display thus far in this ball game. We've had quarterbacks matching each other, production for production. Doug Flutie marching his team down the field once again with the big play to Will Moore and able to execute it out with Tony Stewart. Mark McLaughlin in for the extra point.
Well, the 2 teams have had 3 possessions, and they've scored 3 touchdowns. Calgary has scored touchdowns in both of its possessions, with Tony Stewart capping the second drive after Alan Pitts put the first touchdown on the board.
We got Tony Stewart sitting here. We got the receivers going to clear out. Tony Stewart is going to come in the flat. Doug Flutie with the half roll. He's going to hit him out in the flat. Tony Stewart does all the work once he gets the ball. He has to really fight with the defensive secondary. You see he catches the ball on the 5. He breaks it back to the inside after the receivers are cleared out. He's in a struggle one-on-one. He gets across the plane. Great effort by Tony Stewart after making that reception. You see Dave some punches coming by, getting that key block of the last moment against Clark, clearing the way for Tony Stewart to get into the end zone.
The record of 111 points by both teams in one game may be in jeopardy the way these 2 teams have started.
Well, you know, this is a great start for the fans here in McMahon Stadium and across Canada, you know, to see exciting brand of CFL football like we've witnessed thus far here in the first quarter.
Toronto beat BC 68-43 on September 1st, 1990. Woodside on the kickoff return for Winnipeg. Woodside loses the football. There's a scramble. Who's got it? And Calgary has it with 8:28 remaining in the opening quarter. And the Stampeders have an opportunity to add to their 7-point edge. Yeah, he hadn't had a pass. He says.
Yeah, I was thinking Wiggins. I knew it was a W in there somewhere.
I'm on there.
More fun than King of
I love you.
prices than bumper stuffers. And where else can you get a chicken fajita in 30 seconds? Congratulations to Section F. Win the 30. Thanks to Knox Convenience Stores and Oakland.
How do you pronounce his name, Don?
Oh,
88, the receiver. Oh, that's Danielson.
Danielson.
Okay.
It's Danielson.
The #1 draft pick.
Super 7 Purdue Big action lottery that offers you more chances to win millions of dollars.
Vince Danielson, the rookie,
Coca-Cola.
is the man who popped the football loose when he made contact
Coca-Cola.
with Woodside with his helmet. I think he got the
We got a
helmet
freeze
on the
right here.
football.
We'll see right here as Danielson, the #1 draft pick out of UBC, comes in and makes that hit, puts the helmet right on the football, knocks it away. Douglas Kraft, you'll see him floating around the pile right there, able to pounce on it, recover for Calgary in great field position at the 29-yard line. And Calgary's had two drives started, great field position inside the 30 here in the first quarter, and looking to go in for their third major of the first quarter, Don.
Doug Flutie has missed just one pass thus far. He's completed 5 for 102 yards.
Well, he had a little help when he missed the pass. I mean, all the receivers were laying on the ground and this floated freely over everyone.
And he's only played half a quarter of football, so maybe that 713-yard passing performance of Matt Dunnigan is in jeopardy. Penalty flag as Sapunjas makes his first catch of the night. He's stopped at the 25-yard line, but it's a holding call against Calgary. And that will bring this one back.
Well, Winnipeg came with the blitz on the play. They knew they needed to get more pressure on Doug Flutie because he's had all the time that he's needed to find his receivers, and that time they gave him a little help at the line of scrimmage.
Ross Perrier, the referee tonight.
Holding, Calgary number 60. First down repeated.
The holding call against Bruce Covington. He had a holding call against Baltimore last week, the first time in his CFL career that he has ever been called for holding, and now 2 games in a row he's penalized for holding.
Well, I guess you get in that comfort zone. He had been called. I think the proper term is he's never been caught.
Never been caught is probably correct. First and 20 back at the 40-yard line. Flutie operating out of the shotgun. Flutie's in some trouble, trying to get away from Randolph. He throws to the sidelines, out of bounds. There was a penalty flag on the play.
We're going to get an offside call in this situation. You know, we had basically an error-free first quarter going, and now we've had a couple of quick flags here back-to-back.
Offside against Calgary. One of the receivers obviously moving across the line prior to the ball being snapped.
Well, when you get those guys moving in motion, trying to get that advantage on the secondary, you'll get those calls.
Calgary number 18, decline, second down.
Penalty against Alan Pitts has declined. Talking about guys hitting the line of scrimmage in full flight, nobody during his career has done it better than Ray Elgard. And congratulations to Ray on establishing the reception record. 709, after 3 last night.
One of my many former teammates, and congratulations. But one of the big things with Ray, the Riders' jerseys are green, so it matches the turf on many occasions.
Wide open is Will Moore, touchdown. Will Moore had not caught a pass in 2 games, but tonight he has grabbed 3 from Doug Flutie and has a touchdown.
He has tripled his quota coming into the game thus far already in the first quarter. I mean, what an exciting first quarter of football we've witnessed tonight here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Just an outstanding aerial display by both quarterbacks thus far. Doug Flutie, Matt Dunnigan. The receivers are just running freely through the secondary, and once more a major here in the first quarter, down 4 already.
Calgary has had the football 3 times. They put it in the end zone 3 times. Mark McLaughlin looking to become a 6th consecutive 200-point man. Adds the extra point.
Once again, a big play by the specialty team set this up. Doug Flutie in the shotgun, slides to his right. Will Moore running the post right down the middle of the field. Evans not able to keep up with him, and he trots into the end zone for the touchdown. You see the separation, Don. I mean, he's just in full flight.
Well, when you try and blitz Doug Flutie and you leave that middle open, someone who reads defenses, as Flutie is capable of doing, will pick that up.
And this is one happy young man. I can't call him a young man anymore, I guess, but Doug Flutie showing all the jubilation. He shows that he still enjoys playing this game of football, and the crowd here in McMahon has really appreciated this outburst here in the first quarter this evening.
7:03 still to play in the opening quarter. It's 21-7. Calgary leading Winnipeg. Winnipeg has only had one offensive series, and Matt Dunnigan took them the length of the field for a major score.
Well, this game is turning out like one did in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago with BC, where BC had scored 3 first-quarter touchdowns.
Woodside, who fumbled the last time on a kick return, thought he had an opening, but he was corralled by Alondra Johnson at the 34-yard line after a 20-yard run back. Scott?
Well, Don, under the category of you're only as good as your last game, Matt Dunnigan obviously is in the league by himself. His record last week still a topic of conversation, although Doug Flutie's doing some damage to it here tonight, it appears. But Stampeder defensive backs were talking about it, especially Junior Thurman, who knew even before Dunnigan went to David Williams for 47 yards, he had to set the tone. It's a long-standing matchup between these two players. 6 years they've faced each other in the league. Thurman claims he's got the best, although certainly tonight David Williams appears to have the edge early, and now it's up to Matt Dunnigan, given that the Bombers finally have the ball back, to see if he can do some more damage.
The first running play of the night for Winnipeg as Keith Woodside carries to the 41-yard line, stopped there by Lubo Zizakovic. Woodside spent 4 years in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers. Cal Murphy likes the way he accelerates.
You know, a very quick cutting back, as you saw in that first running play. And it's amazing he was able to do that after that shot he took from Alondra Johnson on the kickoff return.
Movement at the line of scrimmage, penalty flags fly, and Matt Dunnigan does not get a chance to run a play.
I think it would be safe to say that Chris Walby jumped off sides on that one.
Procedure call against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is the way Calgary lines up defensively. Stu Laird is not dressed for this game. Pierce is, and Lubo Zizakovic moves into a starting position alongside his brother. Other than that, the Stampeders defensively are the same as last week.
You know, this is probably the first time, Don, that two brothers have played side by side in a CFL game on the defensive line with the Zizakovic brothers.
There's obviously a mix-up as Dunnigan was throwing deep. The Stampeders were coming with a safety blitz with Greg Knox. Dunnigan tried to go over the top, and somehow either...
Don, this is that last kickoff we had with Alondra Johnson coming down, planting Keith Woodside. A lot of intensity in tonight's football game right here. You know, these guys are really rolling with it.
5:43 remaining. And the first punt of the football game. Bob Cameron has celebrated his 40th birthday this month. Drives the ball into the arms of Marvin Coleman, and he brings it back to the 48-yard line.
33-yard punt for Bob Cameron.
The 33-yard kick by Bob Cameron. And now Doug Flutie will direct the Calgary offense for the 4th time in tonight's football game. 3 times he has put it in the end zone.
Well, they've been on the field frequently. They might be getting a little tired offensively out here in the first quarter. I mean, 4 series and 3 touchdowns. It's not a bad production.
Flutie is going to operate out of the shotgun. Intercepted by Jason Jakovich. Flutie appeared to be looking for David Sapunjas. He overthrew him, and the safety, Jason Jakovich, comes up with an interception.
Well, Doug tried to put it in that soft spot in the zone. Great center field by Jason Jakovich, coming over the middle as you expect for your free safety to do. You'll see Flutie, you'll see Sapunjas on a crossing route right here, and he overthrows him. Jakovich makes a great effort and lays out and pulls it in for his 3rd interception of the season.
So the Blue Bombers get it back. 1st and 10. They are at their own 38-yard line. 4:57 remaining in the opening quarter.
1st and 10 at their own 38.
Dunnigan throwing deep down the sidelines for Williams, and he overthrew him. Williams was in a battle along the sidelines with Junior Thurman.
For number 2, Junior Thurman. 2nd down.
Well, that seems to be a matchup that Matt favors over there. David Williams against Thurman. He has about a 5-inch height advantage over Junior over there. And Junior's coming off of one of those Achilles tendon injuries like Matt Dunnigan of last year that ended his season early. And, you know, he's able to keep up with these receivers, but I think Matt will keep testing him most of the night.
There was a time when if a player went down with an Achilles injury, that pretty much meant the end of his career, but the medical people have developed skills at repairing those injured Achilles tendons, and both Matt Dunnigan and Junior Thurman are proof that they can come back and perform every bit as well.
Dunnigan hands the ball to number 25.
Chris Johnstone was the ball carrier. It came loose, and did the whistle go before it popped away, or no? Calgary's going to get it. Kenton Leonard comes up with the football.
The second fumble by Winnipeg here in the first quarter, and Calgary with another big recovery on that great field position at the 46-yard line.
So Jason Jakovich with an interception to give Winnipeg the ball, but they give it right back with the fumble by Johnston. Scott?
Well, Don, on this series, let's watch and see if the Winnipeg defense makes the same adjustment it made on the last one, and that is they did not take the safety out of the middle last time and leave it open for Doug Flutie. A couple of the defensive backs said to me, he's reading the defense and killing us. In fact, killed them for 21 points because they left Jakovich in there. He got the interception, and that accounted for the last turnover.
First and 10 Calgary. The ball is at the 46. This is Tony Stewart. And Stewart continues to drive very close to a first down. Finally stopped by Greg Clark, but not before he gets 9, maybe even 10, depending on the spot.
Well, he had the big game in Baltimore last week, Don. He was very key to the success of that offense, being able to have that ground control game so that Doug Flutie, when he decided that he wanted to throw the football, that his receivers, and he had plenty of time to get the ball to him.
Second and 1 Calgary. Doug Flutie on a quarterback sneak, and he's going to score. This is reminiscent of the opening game of the season last year. A similar play late in the first half on July the 6th last year, where Flutie on a quarterback sneak went rambling up the middle for a 50-yard touchdown. Deja vu as Doug Flutie makes it 27-7 Calgary.
Now, what can you say about this first quarter that we've witnessed tonight thus far? I mean, such an offensive outburst. For the CFL to get on like this to start the season is just marvelous. And Doug Flutie has just been masterful. 4 touchdowns in the first quarter tonight. I mean, outstanding performance.
We still have 3:17 remaining in the opening quarter as McLaughlin kicks his 4th convert of the game. It's 28-7. Calgary leading Winnipeg. They may play out the horse, a replacement for the regular steed that romps up and down the sidelines here at McMahon Stadium. Alley, the horse that usually performs here, got tangled up with a fence this past week. This replacement may be tired out before the game is over.
With Doug Flutie on the simple quarterback sneak, we get Dave Sapunjas right here with a nice block to break Doug Flutie into the open field, and Doug just romps into the end zone for the 4th major of the first quarter for the Stampeders. You'll see him here once again right behind that massive offensive line, going through untouched, and Doug is off to the races, and he picks up those heels high-stepping and gets across that yellow stripe for the major. Doug Flutie once again, a little jubilation with Pee Wee Smith. These guys showing a lot of emotion tonight, and when you have some emotion when you're playing a football game, good things will happen for you.
This is the home opener for the Stampeders. They were the last team in the CFL to play a home game. Their first 2 on the road in Saskatchewan and Baltimore, and what an offensive performance Doug Flutie and the Stamps are putting on tonight here at McMahon Stadium. Woodside on the kickoff return brings it back to the 37-yard line, a 21-yard run back, and that's where Winnipeg will scrimmage when we return.
Tripped up by Marvin Coleman, number 17 on the Stampeders. A 61-yard kickoff from Mark McLaughlin.
James, even if they throw a replay in, you got to wait till I finish talking before you.
No problem.
And they shouldn't have brought that replay in there anyway. I mean, that was.
Are we doing anything on a commercial here?
They've got a good crowd here.
Oh yeah, they got 25, 26,000 here.
What are we doing?
To provide a full range of financial services at a reasonable cost. Discover Alberta Treasury Branch's guaranteed financial services today.
28-7 Calgary Stampeders with time left in the first quarter. A magnificent night for Doug Flutie. And aside from a preseason contest here a month ago, the last football game here at McMahon was last November. The stadium was a magnificent sight on Grey Cup Sunday for the game between Winnipeg and Edmonton. 60,000 fans here for that one. A more realistic crowd here tonight in the area of 26, but there's a flashback to Grey Cup Sunday last November. McMahon Stadium certainly never looked so good, and it was the end of a week that restored the Grey Cup to its position of prominence as one of the biggest sporting events in this country. Again, 26,000 on hand here tonight. As I say, a more realistic crowd, but Don, they're seeing so far in the first quarter about 2 games from Doug Flutie, I'd say.
Well, they've certainly been treated to a wide-open offensive battle. I wonder when you check the scoreboard, 28-7, whether the defenses have been on the field. Matt Dunnigan, 1st and 10 from the 36-yard line. Dunnigan quickly over the middle. He was looking for Gerald Alf, and there's also a penalty flag in the play. It's going to be an interference call against Calgary.
Right now, Winnipeg needs to get any bit of offensive momentum that they can get, whether it's by penalty or big play, because Calgary has just gathered all the momentum here in the first quarter and is utilizing it and put 28 points on the scoreboard.
Defensive forward pass interference. Calgary, non-deliberate, first down.
1st and 10 Winnipeg with the penalty. The ball is at the Winnipeg 46. 2:46 remaining in the first quarter.
Don, explain to me what's deliberate and non-deliberate pass interference.
Well, I think there are times when a guy goes up in the air to grab a ball and somebody absolutely hammers him. Jackson was the man that Dunnigan was looking for. And last week against the Edmonton Eskimos, he made this type of catch look easy.
Well, last week he was making those down the sideline. That time he went over the middle, and I think he might have been peeping out of the corner of that helmet, thinking that Daryl Sampson, not Daryl Sampson, but Ken Leonard or Vaughn may have been coming up to give him a little kiss in the ear hole or something.
Jackson came to the Bombers last year as a versatile performer and played both defensive back and receiver. The Bombers want him as a receiver. They also want this man, David Williams, as a receiver full-time. And David Williams takes the ball down to the 27-yard line, taken out of bounds by Greg Knox.
Great play by Matt Dunnigan, reading the defense, recognizing that he had one-on-one coverage backside David Williams against Junior Thurman. A matchup he's going to stay with. We'll see David coming off, and watch Junior gamble on this play. He gambled and he lost, and David Williams able to gather the ball in and get it down to the 26 before Knox is able to drop him at that point.
38 yards on the completion from Dunnigan to David Williams. 1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 26 of Calgary. Dunnigan trying to buy some time. Now he'll have to try and run, and he dives to about the 23-yard line. Stopped there by linebacker Matt Finlay. Alondra Johnson was saying that if Matt Dunnigan in the game tonight tries to run, as he often does, like a fullback, the linebackers would respond accordingly.
Well, Matt, I don't think that Matt is going to be more apt to run this year like he had in the past. He only had 7 runs coming into this game, Don, prior to that last run that he took off on.
On 2nd down, 2nd and 6, Dunnigan floats it towards the end zone, intended for Williams. And Junior Thurman was there defending. There's also a penalty flag on the play.
This is going to be a very interesting call because Junior Thurman had the inside position on the play, and David Williams was fighting from outside the end. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what the call is that the official makes.
It's interference against Calgary. And Junior Thurman can't believe that the flag was thrown against him.
Calgary number 2, deliberate, first down.
Well, we're going to get it here on ISO. We got Thurman working against Williams as they're moving down the field. You'll see Thurman with the inside position right here. He's entitled to that spot on the field. David Williams is trying to use the arm over and come back inside. I think the flag should have gone the other way on that call.
Well, it could be that the flag was thrown earlier with the initial contact made, but it didn't come out apparently until late. There's the pass into the end zone, incomplete, intended for Williams again. He and Thurman are having quite a battle.
But once again, Junior Thurman with the great man coverage, and Matt Dunnigan likes this matchup with this big wideout, David Williams, but Junior Thurman is not going to back off. Once again, that good inside position, and from a secondary point, that's what you want to see. You see Thurman once again inside. Williams could have been easily hit with the flag because he was chugging at Junior Thurman.
It will be second and goal from the 4. Thurman had good position that time. Was unable to pick off the Matt Dunnigan throw.
Matt needs to get more air under that pass if he's going to throw it to David Williams out there.
Swings it out to Woodside. Woodside is not in. He's going to be stopped just short of the goal line. They rule that he came down before he continued on into the end zone. He thinks he should get the touchdown, but the official right there ruled that he touched down at the 1.
Great swing pass here by Matt Dunnigan, but look at the flow of the Calgary defense getting out. Kenny Walker along with Leonard getting out there, knocking Woodside off his feet, and the ball came down about 6 inches short of the goal line. Great camera coverage there by our crew.
This will be the final play of the opening quarter. Winnipeg gambling on 3rd and goal. Dunnigan tosses to Woodside, and Woodside gets in. It wasn't easy, but Woodside made it to the end zone, taking the toss for a 1-yard touchdown run on the final play of the opening quarter.
Great determination by Woodside to get over there, come with the toss pitch, weak into the boundary. Woodside gets the ball and gets around the corner, and he's able to outrun Alonzo Johnson. Vaughn is not able to get there along with Thurman. They just put the shoulder on it. You got to wrap him up. The backs know how to fall into the end zone for the touchdown.
Troy Westwood to add the extra point. 42 points in the opening quarter of this football game. The league record 50. Toronto against BC in 1990. What a wild display tonight at McMahon Stadium.
The Canadian Football League sizzles on Sport Select this summer. Test your knowledge of football by playing goal line and over-under. Get into the game and any lottery ticket bidders. Canadian Airlines, the choice of the 1994 Calgary Stampeders. Canadian Airlines is proud to fly to the game, event, or tournament.
No, he's not going to be playing both ways, but yeah.
Calgary cheerleaders have had a busy opening quarter as well tonight at McMahon Stadium with their team in front 28-14.
Now they might be a little dehydrated come halftime.
It is a warm day in Calgary, a temperature of 27 degrees. The heat wave has struck southern Alberta, and the citizens are certainly enjoying warm temperatures, and they're enjoying the performance of the Stampeders through the first 15 minutes of this football game.
Don, what a marvelous first quarter point production-wise, 42 points. I mean, we never thought that we would witness anything like this when we came to the game tonight, but it's been wonderful to view and announce.
Number 3 all-time in points in a quarter. This kickoff bounces away from Pee Wee Smith and will roll into the end zone. He's going to concede a single point.
A knuckler by Troy Westwood. He didn't hit that solid down, and it just didn't get any altitude on it. Pee Wee misjudged it.
It is a single point for the Bombers.
Statistically, this is what happened in the opening quarter. take a look at these numbers. There have been games where we haven't seen totals like this through a full 60 minutes.
Yeah, those are nice halftime stats to have. You know, the 141 yards rushing, passing by Doug Flutie in the first quarter, just an outstanding first quarter, but the 50 yards rushing, and the majority of it came on that quarterback draw for the touchdown, just like in Baltimore last week.
But to put Matt Dunnigan's performance last week in perspective, project Doug Flutie's first quarter totals through 60 minutes of football last night, and he'd still be 150 yards short. Blair Zurr takes the throw from Flutie and will pick up 8 yards.
7 yards before he's knocked down by
happy to be in the starting lineup this year. Andy McVay's retirement heard his starting assignment this year, and he's happy to be here. And he had 2 receptions coming into this game. You see right here, Sapuntis trying to get a block right here on the linebacker Coleman, and you know, not only does he catch passes all over the field, but he plays both ends of it as a blocker also.
On second down, the pass is deflected. I think it was intended for Tony Stewart, who got knocked down as he tried to get into his pattern. Burris stepped into him and put him on his back.
Well, Flutie, that's one of the passes that he has problems with when he tries to throw that quick slant with his stature and all, and one of the defenders was able to get his hands up, deflect the ball, and it fell out in no man's land.
Stampeder punter down inside his own 30.
Boyko and Burris are back for this third down punt. The first kick of the football game by Tony Martino. Boyko is going to take it at the 22-yard line. And Boyko was contacted initially by Alondra Johnson, and he stopped at the 26. Scott?
Well, Don, you were just talking about projections, and this is much like saying when a hockey player scores 3 in the first game of an 84-game season, he's on pace to score 252, and of course he's not going to do it. Neither will Matt Dunnigan maintain this pace, but the Bombers can dream, I guess. 1,047 yards passing in 2 games, a little better than 500 a game, so over 18 games, that's a brisk, what, 9,500 yards. CFL record is 6,600, set by Flutie in 91. Only 3 quarterbacks have ever been over 6,000, and that might be a more realistic goal for Dunnigan this season.
Dunnigan putting it in the air again, and he overthrew the man he was looking for, Alfred Jackson.
Dunnigan throws.
Don, you know, you look at Alfred Jackson, he doesn't seem that comfortable coming over the middle. He likes to go on those fly routes up the sideline, but you start sending him on those posts and slants, he starts looking around for defensive backs, and once again, he took his eye off that football, looking to see if he was going to get hit.
On second down, Calgary making an adjustment defensively. Polk goes out, Coleman comes in as a 6th defensive back.
Second down and 10, Winnipeg at the Bomber 27.
Little swing pass to Woodside, but Woodside stumbled, and Kenny Walker is there to throw him for a loss.
Kenny Walker, an exceptional athlete, Don. I mean, he flowed out from his weekend position, and he just flattened Woodside on his backside there. But, you know, Kenny Walker is a very interesting story. He came over in a late season trade from Hamilton. This young man has been deaf since birth. But, you know, he has not let that hinder him as an athlete. Look at this great pursuit and hit right there on Woodside. That's a textbook tackle right there by Walker.
When he was at the University of Nebraska and at Denver, he had an interpreter with him to help him understand the plays and the terminology, but he is not with Walker here in Calgary. Third down punt by Bob Cameron. Pee-wee Smith, who had a punt return touchdown last week, is down at the Winnipeg 54, and there's also a penalty flag on the play.
Down, and to take that story a little further on Kenny Walker, Matt Finley has taken it upon himself to become his personal tutor here, and he is the one who communicates with Kenny Walker all the time to make sure that he's getting the proper play call and signals, and he helps him out all during the week during practice also.
Well, Matt was saying that Walker reads lips very well, so he has developed a communication system with him, and they are able to pick up signals.
The illegal block penalty brings the football back to the Calgary 46. It is first.
Assistant coach Frank Spaziani explaining to Walker what he wants him to do the next time he's on the field, but right now the offense is out there. Dunnigan 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Intended for Stewart. He may have taken his eyes off the football momentarily, as he obviously heard and felt Daryl Sampson moving up in the coverage.
Both receiving corps have had this problem here as of late. That time Flutie got the ball there in plenty of time, and as receivers have a tendency to do, take their eyes off the ball, looking to turn upfield. Stewart had plenty of time to make that reception, just lost his concentration.
12-10 remaining in the first half here at McMahon Stadium. Flutie on 2nd down, throwing deep for Pitts. All the way down to the 21. Bobby Evans prevented Alan Pitts from going all the way. It's a 43-yard gain.
As graceful as a gazelle, Don, it's so nice to see Alan Pitts once again loping down the sidelines as he got behind the secondary of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and Bobby Evans, working one-on-one with the halfback. Flutie dropping back, no pressure on him by this Winnipeg defense. He has 2 steps on Evans, and as he tries to break it to the inside, Evans knocks him off stride.
1st and 10, the ball is at the 21. Flutie is going to run. And then he's dropped to the turf at the 24-yard line, a loss in the play.
Just behind the line of scrimmage.
Randolph made the initial contact with the Calgary quarterback.
Don, we spoke earlier about the speed of this Winnipeg linebacking core, and they closed on Flutie like a pack of wild dogs going after a gazelle or something that time. But they closed on him and dropped him for a loss on the play. That's great speed and pursuit by that group.
2nd and 13. Flutie goes back to the shotgun formation. Flutie throws to the end zone. Sapunjas is wide open. Cal Murphy thought his team had a pretty good defensive game plan for Doug Flutie coming in, but Doug Flutie has picked it up, and he has riddled the Winnipeg secondary and has put 34 points on the board.
Sometimes when you come to these games like this, you think either feast or famine. Doug Flutie has just been feasting on this Winnipeg secondary. I mean, his receivers, the secondary has just not been able to keep up with him. They're running these crossing routes, and they're just picking off people, and they're running wide open.
McLaughlin adds the point after. 35-15 is the score. Sapunjas and Alan Pitts, the 2 slot backs, are the primary receivers in the Calgary passing scheme. And the return of Alan Pitts after the year that Sapunjas had last year has to complement the Canadian-born receiver.
Well, Doug Flutie able to step up in the pocket. The rush got out of its lanes, and as you saw Stan Mikkelus come around, Doug Flutie stepped up in the seam. Dave Sapunjas had gotten behind Jakovic, and he waltzes into the end zone for the 5th Calgary touchdown of the night.
The University of Western Ontario product was saying that he and Pitts, when they run their patterns, are reading all the way, and they make their moves depending on what certain defensive players are doing.
Well, I think what helps Sapunjas is out so much is that he was once a running back when he was in college, so he changes directions much better than most receivers does because he's used to avoiding defenders.
35-15 with 10:34 remaining in the first half here at McMahon Stadium. On the kickoff return, runs into some traffic in the vicinity of the 32-yard line, and that's where Winnipeg will scrimmage. 1st and 10 when we return.
It's a 60-yard kickoff.
Stay up. Stay up. Keep
Raymond Biggs, number 44, leading the storm down here.
See, I saw the halfback chase Sponge, so I thought it was mad. Nobody's coming to me.
All these balls are greased with 10W30 tire studs, and should they miss the target, they will get their head shaved into a mohawk. Should they win, a $200 gift certificate courtesy of Mohawk ethanol blended gasoline from Mother Nature's gas station. Here we go! Okay. There it goes. Each contestant will receive a $25 gift certificate of ethanol blended gasoline from Mother Nature's gasoline station, Mohawk. Thank you, contestants, and enjoy the rest of the game. Could we please repeat that score? Stan?
Flutie. Yeah.
Bombers! Thank you so much. Stampeder Football Club would like to thank Mike Tarp
president of Renfrew Chrysler and Alberta G. Beagle, for their continued support of the team as the official supplier of cars and trucks to the Stampeders. Renfrew Chrysler and
At McMahon Stadium, Doug Flutie and the Calgary Stampeders lead by 20, and it's been said by somebody that's the longest title in professional sports. Doug Flutie and the Calgary Stampeders are the flies tonight as he's got it cranked up. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on CBC Sports: the completion of the Expo Skins game from Montreal at the Richelieu Valley course. 4 golfers representing about 2 or 3 eras of the sport competing. Fred Couples, Tom Watson, Nick Price, Lee Dermino. They play 18-9 today, finish up the final 9 tomorrow. Fred Couples won $75,000 of the $270,000 available today. There's Doug Flutie. Don just had a word with him. I asked him if he was going after the 713 yards, and he said, no, all I want to do is score as many points as possible, because against these guys, given our games last year, you never know. We need all we can get when we can get it.
Well, Flutie has passed for 582 yards in a game. He has had 360 yards at halftime. But you have to have just a phenomenal night to register the numbers that Matt Dunnigan had last week. Dunnigan was looking for David Williams, incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10 Winnipeg. Talking about that Skins game, Fred Couples with an eagle 3 on the 9th hole today. Very interesting match at Richelieu Valley, twice the site of the Canadian Open Golf Championship, and the final 9 holes of the Skins game will be played tomorrow.
2nd and 10.
Lee Trevino, Luke Price, Tom Watson, and Fred Couples. Here's the blitz. Greg Knox is after Dunnigan. Dunnigan's in trouble. Walby came back to help out. Now Dunnigan throwing deep over the head of Gerald Alpha.
Dunnigan does a good job of eluding the safety.
Greg Knox was coming on the safety blitz, and he had Dunnigan running for his life.
A very unique blitz, bringing Knox from his free safety position. Normally he'll get a hammer blitz, a halfback coming up. That's a long way to run, but Dunnigan ever so elusive. You can see he's completely recovered from that Achilles injury, but he had to get down at the last moment. Alonzo Johnson was headhunting. He was looking for a trophy.
6 cents for Matt Dunnigan. He knew when he threw, he had to go down.
Well, I think if he had took that hit, he only had 1 cent.
Fine punt by Bob Cameron. Coleman takes it back at the 25. And Coleman returns it to the 36. 9:32 remaining in the first half. 35-15 Calgary.
Greg Clark, number 58, as well as number 24, Anthony Shelton, on the tackle for the Bombers.
Shoot the one down there.
52-yard punt for Bob Cameron.
Yeah. Randolph and Danielson.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 1994 Calgary Outriders, sponsored by Tropicana Juices and Software Athletics, and under the direction of Miss Allison Jones.
He made the great hit earlier, and now, you know, yeah.
The Rook first, and stay with the Rook. Come back with him after I tell you a story about him.
You want to do it?
No, you take it.
Okay.
You're going to show that replay, aren't you?
Yeah, we got Scott first, don't we?
No. Fine rookie receiver out of the University of British Columbia, Vince Danielson. Got an introduction into the CFL from veteran linebacker Paul Randolph a few moments ago.
Well, the Rook is not backing down, Don. You know, he's driving Randolph into the turf and say, hey, I might be young, but I know what this game is all about. And early, he made the great hit on the kick return that caused the fumble that Kraft recovered, and they threw the touchdown on.
Wally Buono says Danielson is everything the Stampeders hoped for and more. Dave Sapunjas is one of his big boosters. He says this young man is capable of playing now.
Well, he played both defensive back and receiver in college at UBC, and they were happy to end quarterback, and they were happy to get him in the first round, and he's being very productive here in this game tonight.
As a matter of fact, he played quarterback for 4 years.
Every home and away game,
He's really being tested by the linebackers.
But as a receiver, he's got a tough task ahead of him trying to crack this Calgary lineup, although when they go with that 6-receiver set, he does get a chance to play.
Well, at 6'4", he has the size to do it with.
Flutie dumps it off to Sapunjas. Donald Smith took him down, but not before he got up to the 53-yard line.
Well, great play there by Flutie and Sapunjas being on the same page, going with the hurry-up offense right here. Sapunjas coming up with as a blocker at the line of scrimmage, creeping back across the middle, and he drags over the middle, and he picks up a first down up to the 54-yard line.
First and 10 at the 53.
First and 10, Calgary. Flutie will run. Oh, and a nice move. He made the cut back inside on Clemens, and now he's going to go all the way. Oh, what a run by Doug Flutie. 57 yards for a major score. His second touchdown of the night. It appeared as though Charlie Clemens had them all lined up.
Don, unbelievable. That's all you can say to describe Doug Flutie's first half performance tonight. Unbelievable. He is a man amongst boys out there. He has done all that you can ask of him thus far.
3 times league MVP. And Doug Flutie is putting on a classic quarterbacking performance tonight here at McMahon Stadium.
Well, you know, you look at it, he's done just about everything to offset this Winnipeg defense. When you think he's going to run, he can throw. When you think he's going to throw, he can pull it down, he can find the seams, and that's what he's done thus far tonight. You look at this Bomber defense, they've been on the field most of the first half.
McLaughlin makes it a 42-15 football game with 8:11 remaining in the first half.
You know, when you see a great run like what Doug Flutie has done, you look at his yardage, Don. 90 yards rushing tonight. I mean, the 232 is great passing, but the 90 yards rushing, you're seeing here, this was a pass all the way. He couldn't find an open receiver, but this is what Doug Flutie brings to the board is he comes out, and Coleman has him in his sights right here, and boom, he lays him down on the turf. He just couldn't recover and get back on him. And as he breaks back across, and Evans and Smith missed him as they go down, and Flutie is off to the races to the corner of the end zone.
Calgary has had the football 8 times. They've scored 6 touchdowns.
We'd like to welcome
It looked as though Charlie Clemens had them all lined up.
Of the Canadian Football League and your Calgary.
But you just can't change directions on this AstroTurf and look like he got his cleat stuck. And you see Donald Smith, a defensive back, very agile in open field, just couldn't get to him, and Shelton just didn't have the legs to bring him down.
377 at home, and if you're needed, an AGT Mobility volunteer will bring a message.
Oh, the Bombers have seen this performance before. Last year in the first game of the season, Flutie ran for 76 yards. The second time the teams met at Winnipeg Stadium, Flutie ran for over 100 yards. So obviously he has seen something in the Winnipeg defense. He can throw the football, but he is really destroying the Bombers with his running ability.
Well, when you look at their offensive output, Don, it took them 60 minutes last week in Baltimore to score 42 points, and they have 42 points with 8:11 to go in the second quarter tonight. I mean, you look at this Winnipeg defense, they're wondering, what did they do to deserve this? Is it ever going to stop? Will they ever be able to get off the field long enough to let Matt Dunnigan try to duplicate Flutie's feats? Rocco Romano was the player down for Calgary on that extra point. He came off the field under his own power, so that's a good sign.
Keith Woodside takes the ball at the 15-yard line. He runs into a traffic jam up at the 31. 8:06 remains in the first half. A 16-yard run back by Woodside. Scott?
Well, Don, how about this for a theory on Doug Flutie's magnificence in the first half of this game, which, by the way, is still got 8 minutes to go. Dave Sapunjas, who knows Flutie as well as anybody in the Calgary Stampeder roster, says Flutie's trying to answer the challenge that Matt Dunnigan threw out last week. Now, Doug Flutie, his modest self, of course, would never admit to that, but Sapunjas says, I'll guarantee you he's been thinking about it every night this week. He's not going to get 713 yards passing, but he may get that as a combined yardage total tonight.
Draw play with Woodside, and Woodside picks up about 6.
On the draw, crosses the 35
Don,
yard line for the Bombers.
athletes don't always sit up and talk about what another athlete did, but you know Doug Flutie and his competitive fire, that's just been burning inside of him for the past 2 weeks. When we were in Baltimore last week and speaking with Doug, he was speaking about how he marveled at the performance that Matt Dunnigan was able to do but he also knew inside that he would be seeing Matt Dunnigan face-to-face in another week. And when you get an opportunity like that, you don't want to let it slip away.
From the 38, it's 2nd and 3, Winnipeg. And off again to Woodside, and there's a penalty flag as Woodside gets up to the 49.
Looked like Lubo Zisikovic might have gotten a little jump there at the line of scrimmage.
Mark Pierce, number
unless he was
95.
drawn offside.
And the safety, Greg Knox, number 8.
I think it was Johnston, actually, James, who was offside. Let's wait for referee Ross Ferrier.
Offside, Winnipeg number 87, 2nd down repeated.
Oh, we're both wrong.
Both wrong. It was Gerald
We'll
Wilcox.
call it a draw. that wasn't even a gamble, you could say. Gerald Wilcox, the slot back, got a little jump there and got caught in that neutral zone, cost his team 5 yards after Woodside had picked up the first down.
Quickly inside, intended for Woodside. Pass was high, and Winnipeg is forced to send out the punting team once again.
It was high, Don, but catchable also, and I think Matt might be better off to keep throwing the fade routes down the sideline, because every time he goes over the middle, his receivers are turning their head just at the last moment, trying to find where that secondary player is and letting the ball flow through their hands.
You know, it's amazing the career Bob Cameron has had. He was cut by 8 CFL teams before finally getting a job with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on a permanent basis.
I know what that feels like.
Now, one of the people who cut you is going to be honored at halftime tonight here at McMahon Stadium. Pee-wee Smith is corralled and thrown down at the 31-yard line. I'm referring to former Stampeder great running back Earl Lunsford, who also served as the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Let's go down to the sidelines, and here's Scott.
Okay, Don, and I think Earl Lunsford's being honored for exactly that, for cutting James Murphy when he was GM of the Bombers. But in that case, it'd have to honor a whole lot of GMs, wouldn't they? Anyway, alive at the half. The game of his life by Matt Dunnigan. Time may have stood still for him in Winnipeg last week. Certainly because of the defensive backs appeared too as Dunnigan passed for that record. We'll look at the game, the national anthem fiasco from last week. New hard evidence suggests the guy in Vegas was singing "Oh Christmas Tree," and we'll talk live with the CFL's all-time leading pass receiver, Ray Elgard, will join us live from Regina.
Tony Stewart with a gain of 9 yards. This Calgary offense is moving the football, it seems, almost at will.
They are, Don, and when we look at it, I mean, they've done everything to execute every play perfectly. The receivers, so you get days of punches coming down. Watch the block that he throws on the defensive back right here. That's a pancake. I mean, he's putting him on his back. All he's doing is leaving letters laying on the turf.
2nd and 1. Dave Sapunjas hoping to duplicate his numbers of last year when he became the first Canadian receiver to go to 100 yards. Stewart picks up another Calgary first down, taking the ball out to the 48-yard line. Making the tackle was McCollins.
Well, right now, this offensive line is starting to assert itself. You know, Doug Flutie's done such a masterful job when he's dropped back in the pocket, finding the seams. And he's tired out this Winnipeg defense, and now he can hand the ball off comfortably to Tony Stewart and let him pick up the 6, 7, 8-yard gains right up the middle.
1st and 10, the ball is at the 48 with 5:16 remaining in the half. And off again to Stewart. This time Stewart runs into some traffic trying to go inside, and his gain will be limited to about 1 yard.
Trying to run an inside trap that time. Jamie Crysdale not getting around, and Clark, the linebacker, coming in. Coach Murphy felt that he was his best linebacker last year once he came in and got in the lineup, and you saw him right there put his nose in on that play along with Randolph, making the stop for only a yard gain on the play.
He joined the Bombers on September 30th of last year, but made an immediate impact at the linebacking position. Wiggins has his first catch, loses the football. It's picked up by Pee-wee Smith. Down to the 6-yard line.
Don, you know, sometimes you're good. You got to be lucky to be good, but you got to be good to be lucky. And Calgary has all of those things. When you talk about 9 lives of a cat. They're going to utilize them all here tonight. Doug Flutie on the roll right. He finds Wiggins set down right in the soft spot of that zone. And as he turns up, he makes a great move between the two defenders. And Clark comes in, gives him a blast from behind. But Pee Wee Smith, ever alert, picks up the ball and runs it down to the 7-yard line. Great field position in the red zone.
Not only was he there to pick up the ball, but it took a perfect bounce into his hands. It's a 54-yard gain. First and goal. Flutie out of the shotgun for Sapunjas, incomplete. Sapunjas at the 1 had to reach high, and Flutie blames himself for that one.
Well, he knew he had Dave out in the flat. He ran that slip route out in the flat. No defender was there. He just let one get out of his hands, and sometime when you're a little over anxious, that will happen.
Second and goal, Calgary from the 7-yard line.
Second and goal from the 7.
His second of the night. Sapunjas beat Daryl Sampson in the end zone.
You know, Sapunjas has been beating people all over the field, whether it's a block or running a pass route. Doug Flutie's just been masterful this evening. Sapunjas gives a happy fan a football toss. And, you know, that's going to cost him a few, but at this point, you're really unconcerned about that as a player. And they're just elated here in the first half. I mean, it's been one offensive barrage. I mean, it's undescribable, Don.
Well, Doug Flutie already has 5 touchdown passes. The league record is 8, set by Joe Zuger in 1962. Mark McLaughlin with the point after. And it's 49-15 Calgary. Dave Sapunjas with 2 touchdowns tonight. Yeah, Stewart was a touchdown toss, too.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about.
Hold it, freeze it. Take it back, freeze it. Uh-oh. Okay, we're going to get him here. It's going to come up, break off. Sampson's inside. Flutie with the pass. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Okay. What's the most points Winnipeg has ever given up? Most points scored against one game, 55 at Saskatchewan.
Okay, Don, you're going to play Sponge coming back, and then we'll take the rider.
How many touchdowns has Sponge got now? No, for the year. 3?
Sponges, 3. He had 1 coming in. Okay.
Red Dog, the smooth alt beer. You are your own dog.
2 touchdowns tonight for Dave Sapunjas, now 3 on the season. And the Stampeders have 49 points.
We get Sapunjas sitting here and Evans here. Sapunjas is going to work it up and back across the middle. Evans comes inside. Flutie runs it, throws it there. Perfect strike and play execution by Sapunjas and Flutie. Perfect strike in the back of the end zone. Sapunjas with his 2nd touchdown of the night. Calgary is just rolling.
Don Smith takes the kickoff at the 20-yard line. Good kickoff coverage by the Stampeders. The ball comes back to the 29. That's where Winnipeg will scrimmage when we return.
After a 55-yard kickoff. Marvin Coleman, number 17.
That was Sampson who beat the end zone, not Evans.
Okay. You got it, Ronnie?
Happy birthday to Crystal Siemens from your husband Tony, who's too cheap to buy a card. Happy 32nd or 23rd, whatever the case may be.
In 1992. Oh, what's happening?
There's a lot more than that.
It's been an absolutely beautiful day in the city of Calgary. Some early morning rain, but now the temperature is around the 26 or 27 degree mark. And here at McMahon Stadium, the Stampeders have been every bit as hot as the weather, as they have registered 49 points and are threatening to break their record for most points in a single game. 57 points, which they scored against Winnipeg in 1992.
I would say that they're in fair reach of that.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance.
You look at the passing numbers right here, Don. Doug Flutie, 293 yards in the first half. Matt Dunnigan, only 78 yards. I mean, what a difference a week makes when you're looking down the barrel of the gun instead of pointing it.
Alfred Jackson makes the catch. He breaks a couple of tackles, stays on his feet, and gets a first down and more up to the midfield stripe.
Well, excellent play execution by Jackson at time, and Flutie threw the ball to the outside instead of throwing it over the middle. Jackson with the concentration this time, keeping his eye on the ball. You'll see right here, he makes the catch first, then he looks for the defender as he turns upfield and breaks a couple tackles.
A gain of 26 for Alfred Jackson, taking the ball to the Calgary 54-yard line. 2:35 remaining in the half.
In Matt's success, he's been throwing the ball to the outside. He's had problems when he's thrown over the middle. The receivers have let him down.
This one is over the middle, and wide open is Gerald Alphen. Alphen lost the football. The whistle goes, and it's still a live ball. I thought that one should have been down.
You're absolutely correct on that one, Don. The ground cannot force a fumble. Gerald Alphen was down, and the official neglected to blow the whistle on the play, and Calgary comes up with another big turnover. Right here, you'll see Matt sitting in the pocket all the time. Alfred sat down in that soft spot of the zone. As he breaks back to the inside, he goes down, and you see the ball there. The official didn't get a clear view of it. He was behind the play, but there was one on the other side. Once again, we'll see Alfred as he goes down. Looks like he has the ball as he hits the ground right there, and it comes out. We're not making the play calls.
So the Bombers lose possession on the fumble by Gerald Alphen, and Calgary takes over at the 50-yard line, 1st and 10 with 2:17 remaining in the half. Will Moore takes the ball to the 49 of Winnipeg, but Dave Sapunjas, I think, was way offside on the far side of the field.
You know, I guess it's a plus in a way that these teams only meet once this year in the regular season, because at the rate that Calgary is going, I definitely wouldn't want to go to Winnipeg and have this drubbing on their mind once they get back home. Even though the game is not over, you have, you know, another half plus 2 minutes of football to go. This is going to be a sore spot for a long time.
Well, the way things are going, the Bombers might be just as happy that they're not going to see Calgary again this year. Forget any revenge motive.
Well, if they do face them, it's the place that they're going to want to face them, and that would be in the Grey Cup in Vancouver late in November. They would look forward to that date to have a replay of this game, but not lopsided like it is, just an opportunity to get back at Calgary.
1st and 15. The Stampeders are backed up to their own 46-yard line. Flutie operates from the shotgun. 4 receivers wide to the left. He throws over the middle, intended for Alan Pitts, who was being covered by Darrell Sampson.
Flutie's pass intended for Alan Pitts came up short.
2:09 is the time remaining in the half. Flutie hasn't been off target on many occasions tonight.
One of the few poor passes that he's thrown all night long. Looked like he might have been throwing for the back judge more than he was Alan Pitts that time as he was coming across, and looked like they might have ran into each other.
John Huffnagel is the offensive architect of the Calgary Stampeders. He's the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach, and he and Doug Flutie appear to be in perfect sync tonight. Another fine catch by Dave Sapunjas at the 45-yard line of Winnipeg.
Jason Jakovich, the free safety, is playing a very deep zone tonight for Winnipeg, and you see Sapunjas as he comes over in the middle. Jakovich is not close enough to come in and close, and he makes that catch, and he has to come back and touch him because originally he hadn't been touched, and he could have got up and ran with the ball after the reception.
Sapunjas atones for his offside miscue on the previous play by picking up 18 yards, taking the ball to the Winnipeg 46.
That's not bad restitution.
1st and 10 Calgary, 1:51 remaining. Stewart the ball carrier, and Stewart will get just a yard.
Number 21 on the left side for a couple of yards.
Well, you know, looking at this Winnipeg defensive unit, Don, they appear to be very tired. They've been on the field most of the first half, and they're quite winded. You see players walking around with their hands on their hip, not moving too crisply. Doug Flutie has had these guys at bay all first half.
He's had them back in their heels almost from the opening kickoff. Well, the opening kickoff did take the ball into scoring position, and then Flutie struck for a 27-yard touchdown pass to Alan Pitts. The Stampeders are closing in on 500 yards in the first half of this football game. The ball is knocked down right at the line of scrimmage.
Down at the line of scrimmage.
McCollins got his hand up
Bill McCollins, number 99.
between Flutie and the receiver to bat the ball out of the air.
Calgary.
Well, one of the few defensive series here in the first half that Winnipeg has been able to stop Calgary. And you'll see right here as Flutie delivers that pass, and the linebacker gets up and gets his hand. Clemens is actually the player who batted that one down, the rookie linebacker out of Clemson, and forced into a punting position once again.
1:18 remaining in the half. Martino is going to kick this one into the end zone. And Boyko is going to let it roll out of the end zone for a single point. So the Stampeders have hit 50 points with still 1:08 remaining in the half. Scott?
Well, Don, do you ever get the feeling Doug Flutie's unstoppable? This could be one of those nights. I had a word with him before he headed onto the field for the last drive, and I know I'm making it sound like I'm sitting beside him on the bench tonight, but I did get a quick word from him. I asked him what he saw in the Winnipeg defense, and he said he was able to run it out early in the game when they took the safety out of the middle and blitzed, playing that pressure defense. That cost Winnipeg. He said he was surprised that they haven't been playing more zone and attempted to make the Stampeders drive the ball, but he says Calgary will be just as good at that tonight, so they're really in trouble. And don't forget, coming up on Live at the Half, we'll look back on Mac Dunnigan's magnificence last week in Winnipeg. Don?
Incomplete as Dunnigan's throw over the middle is deflected. Scott, you could probably take up position on the bench beside Doug Flutie, and nobody on the Calgary side would probably be too concerned, but I don't think I'd dare venture over to the Winnipeg bench and try to talk to any of those defensive people.
When teams get up by, 35 points, you have all sorts of access to the bench. It's when they're tied at 10 or the team's trailing, you can't get close to the players, so I'm taking advantage tonight, yeah.
Well, Scott, you've always been one that known to take advantage of a situation.
1:03 remaining in the half. 2nd and 10 Winnipeg from the 35. Dunnigan lobs it out for Alphin, and Alphin got turned around as he was trying to get into his pattern. He was being covered by Gerald Vaughn.
Well, that time Calgary came with the all-out blitz. Alonzo Johnson came and leveled Matt Dunnigan just as he delivered that pass, and he threw it behind Gerald Alphin, who had gotten behind the secondary coverage. You'll see Matt right here sitting in the pocket, and Alondra comes along with Knox right there from his free safety position. Once again, he blitzed earlier in the game and flushed Matt out of the pocket. That's a long way you have to travel from the free safety position, and he's been getting there.
In his CFL career, Bob Cameron is now close to punting the football for 50 miles. Pee Wee Smith takes the ball back at the 17-yard line. He gets to the outside and then runs out of bounds at the 43. Finally brought down by Tawan Temple, but he had stepped out of bounds at the 43.
Well, a big break right there for Winnipeg because he had that wall right set up and he had got to the outside. He just ran out of sideline. Excellent return by Pee Wee Smith.
34 yards on the run back for Smith. And Doug Flutie still has time to put points on the board. 46 seconds remaining in the half. His team is ahead by 35.
Well, Smith came into the game averaging 21.9 yards a return, and last week in Calgary, in Baltimore, he had the 60-yard return for a touchdown in that game to get him on the scoreboard for the first score in the Memorial Stadium.
Sapunjas at the 50.
Hey, Sapunjas, number 25.
A gain of 7.
Takes the pass.
41 seconds remaining in the half.
Number 33.
Well, at this point, it doesn't seem like anyone is going to be able to cover Dave Sapunjas. Finding that soft spot in the zone. Once again, Evans and Clark trying to get over there, but late after he picked up 7 yards on the play.
Flutie will keep and will be very close to a first down.
And is near the first down marker.
He's working behind a pretty good offensive line with Doug Davies at center, Rocco Romano and Jamie Crysdale at the guard positions, and Bruce Covington and Ken Moore at the tackle spots.
And Crysdale is a newcomer this year into that starting lineup, and he's fit in quite well with those other 4 starters from last year.
6'4", 290 pounds.
Yeah, he fit in just about anywhere, I think. And if you didn't let him in, he'd take his spot.
Interesting story about Crysdale. He and Covington were out golfing the other day with Martino and McLaughlin. Crysdale, unhappy when he missed a short putt, went to take a swing with his putter at the ball and hit Mark McLaughlin on the head.
Short third down.
I don't think Mark was going to be too upset. What could he do?
On third down, Flutie keeps and gets the first down.
Looking again straight ahead.
McLaughlin was saying next time he plays golf with Crysdale, he's going to wear his football helmet.
He might need it. He'd end up like Paul Osbaldiston, who got knocked out a couple of years ago, sitting in front of his locker at Winnipeg Stadium when his helmet fell on his head.
24 seconds remaining. Flutie operating from the shotgun to the sidelines for Wiggins. And Wiggins has another first down at the 40 of Winnipeg with 17 seconds still on the clock.
Don, you know, you look at this Winnipeg defensive situation, they're in such a tough position because if you run man coverage against this Calgary offense, all of a sudden Doug Flutie pulls it down and he takes off and runs down that open field because all the defenders have their backs turned. You run zone, you have all those soft spots, and the receivers know just where to go and sit down, and you've been seeing an excellent display with Doug Flutie over 300 yards passing here in the first half.
First and 10 at the Winnipeg 40.
From the Winnipeg 40, it's first and 10 Calgary. Flutie throws to the sidelines for Sapunjas, and it was a little high, and he couldn't pull it in. It will be second and 10, 13 seconds remaining.
You know, it would be a big plus if, you know, if Winnipeg could keep Calgary out of the scoring once again here in the first half with 50 points, and with the score being 50-15, it'd be somewhat of an emotional victory to not allow them to get on the scoreboard, because if they score even a field goal, I mean, you can almost like Katie bar the door right now.
Flutie's going to run, and Randolph was able to get back and close the door with 8 seconds remaining.
It's a gain of 5.
He limits the gain to 5 yards. Flutie looks over to the sidelines, and he's looking for a timeout. And it appears as though Wally Buono has complied with the request. And now Mark McLaughlin is going to come in to attempt a field goal. The interesting part about the McLaughlin story is that he was bleeding quite badly from his forehead. They tried to patch it up as best they could in the golf course, and he managed to finish the final 3 holes. And as Crysdale said, he had blood dripping from his head, but he beat us for money.
that was the only important thing, because to show those big guys out on the golf course. You know, you hate to lose anything to a kicker when you're on a football team.
It's like the old joke, hit a shot and drag Mark. Flutie is going to fake it. He dumps it off, and it's incomplete.
Flutie's pass on third down.
I'm not really sure whether that was designed as a fake or whether it was a high snap that Flutie just decided to try and turn into something.
Well, it looked to be a high snap on the play, and when you get a high snap like this, you'll get the call from the quarterbacks, hot, and that time he rolled out, and you can see the players releasing. Matt Finley, he tried to get it to Finley out in the flat, and they just could not. Too many players right there, all in one shot. You see Doug Davies, the long snapper right there, a little disappointed with, he know he should have got that one down, and he just let one get away.
Darrell Sampson was the man who was over defending against Matt Finlay. This will be the final play of the opening half, barring penalty. Dunnigan with time to the sidelines for David Williams, and Junior Thurman is on him immediately. And that's the end of the first half here at McMahon Stadium. A wild first half with the Stamps leading 50-15.
Form chart called for both teams to shoot the lights out of McMahon tonight. So far, Doug Flutie's following it. Stand by now for Live at the Half with Calgary leading 50-15.
The two sharpshooters in the CFL appeared to be well armed for this showdown tonight at McMahon Stadium, but Doug Flutie has had more bullets in his gun than Matt Dunnigan over on the Bomber bench.
Well, it's been an excellent outing by Doug Flutie in the first half. I mean, there's not much that he's done wrong tonight, and he has 50 points on the scoreboard to show for it.
Barres on the kickoff return, starting out from the 10-yard line. Barres breaks the tackle and then is caught from behind on a good play by Roger Ryerson. A 26-yard return.
68-yard kickoff for Mark McLaughlin.
Before Reinson got over to make the tackle. These are Matt Dunnigan's first half numbers. 8 completions in 20 tries. 1 touchdown toss. That was on the first possession. That went into the hands of Gerald Alphin. First and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the Bomber 33. And off to Woodside, and Woodside tried to cut back inside and was stopped at the 35-yard line by Lubo Zizakovic.
He gains 3 yards. Lubo Zizakovic, number 98 with the tackle.
This is the way Dunnigan spread the ball around in the first half. He went to David Williams 3 times for 94 yards. Gerald Alphin scored Bomber touchdown on a toss from Dunnigan. He caught 2 passes for 31 yards.
Well, you know, he's only 8 for 20 in the first half, Don, but he had about 5 passes dropped by his wideouts in the first half that really hurt him.
Dunnigan on second down has to run away from some pressure. Throws for Jackson on the sidelines, no catch. And not only did he step out of bounds, but he also took a big hit in the process from Doug Kraft.
Well, Kraft wasn't going to let him have that one easily, and he came up and leveled him. Jackson did a fine job of working back to his quarterback, Dunnigan, who had gotten outside the pocket and was getting some pressure from Kenny Walker, but he was just a step out of bounds. He couldn't get those feet down.
You know, the quarterback with the skills of a Matt Dunnigan, 35 points isn't impossible for the Bombers to overcome, but I think it was important for the Bombers to try and get something started early in the second half on their first possession.
Well, you don't want to come out 2 downs and punt. You need to move the ball, pick up a couple of first downs, get some field position out of it at least.
Good punt by Bob Cameron. Coleman goes back for it to the 21. Coleman gets a couple of key blocks. And he brings it up to the 44-yard line. Dewan Temple came over to make the tackle on Marvin Coleman. 23 yards for Coleman on the return.
Well, nice return by Coleman. He brought that one straight up the middle, and you'll see right here as they're coming down trying to cover him. Temple right here working against Renson, 2 linebackers there, two rookie linebackers, but Coleman gets it out up to the 44-yard line before being brought down by Temple.
467 total yards for the Stampeders as they take the football offensively for the first time in this second half. First and 10 from the 45-yard line. It was intended for Pee Wee Smith. The rest knocked it away.
Nice recovery by Barres as Flutie came with the boot right to find some open field there, and Barres made the great break on the ball.
You ever been on a team heading to the dressing room after 30 minutes, facing a lopsided score such as this?
I haven't been on one with that lopsided. I've been down, but not down by 35 at halftime. That's a tough hill to climb, and you're gonna need some good track shoes to catch up with that one.
Second and 10 from the 45-yard line. Pee Wee Smith again lines up wide to the right. Throws complete to Wiggins. Wiggins stayed in bounds and will be close to a first down.
Close to the first down marker.
It looks as though it might be a yard short.
55-1.
Flutie also spread the ball around. He went to Sapunjas 5 times for 73 yards. Will Moore 3 times for 92.
It is a 9-yard gain to bring us third down.
scored 2 touchdowns. Moore had 1 in total. Flutie with 5 first-half touchdown passes. Stewart and Alan Pitts were on the receiving end of the other touchdown throws.
And Moore tripled his season production in the first half with the 3 receptions and the touchdown.
Stampeders are gambling on 3rd down. Flutie, the hitch pass to Wiggins, and Wiggins gets a first down. The ball comes loose, and it's picked up by the Bombers. And they're going to rule that Wiggins was down.
Ryan Wiggins, number 80, with the catch.
Similar to the play we saw earlier with Gerald Alphen when he had caught the pass from Dunnigan and was going down. It looked like he might have been on the turf. An odd call right here, the slip screen, and Doug Flutie was hoping to catch him on alert, but Temple came in and got that slap on the football, and you can see it comes free clearly right here. Winnipeg Bombers had another valid complaint right here that the official missed the call again.
1st and 10 Calgary. The ball is at the Winnipeg 51. But he gives to Stewart, and Stewart is stopped by Stan Mikowicz after a pickup of about 3.
The ball carrier.
Let's take a look at the statistical story of the first half of this football game. 333 passing yards for Calgary, 465 yards total offense, 17 first downs. The most important number is on the scoreboard, where the Stampeders racked up 50 first half points. 2nd and 6. Flutie operating from the shotgun. Over the middle, Alan Pitts is all open. He's got a touchdown, his 2nd of the ball game. That's now 6 touchdown passes for Doug Flutie. Remember, the record in one game, 8 by Joe Zuger. That was back in 1962.
Don, when you live by the blitz, you die by the blitz. And Winnipeg has tried to do everything that they could tonight to get to Doug Flutie, but he's been ever so patient to allow his receivers to come clear in the back end of the coverage, and once again, he strikes.
Mark McLaughlin to add the point after. 10:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Now, this is the type of football game that sends people scurrying for the record books. And this is the most points a Winnipeg football team has ever given up.
Well, this is the man who can always put a lot of points on the scoreboard against you on any given occasion. You see the big cat, Alan Pitts, right here, cutting off to the inside. He's released by Sampson, but the safety, Djokovic, didn't come over, and he was off to the races. Wide open once again, blown coverage again by the Bombers secondary. Doug Flutie right here, you see Djokovic in the middle. He's trying to read the quarterback. He went to the wrong side. Pitts came down the seam, wide open. Waltzes into the end zone for his 2nd touchdown of the game.
Sapunjas has 2, Pitts has 2, Flutie has 2 touchdowns tonight.
A reason to celebrate, too.
The way things are going, the Bombers might have more success in trying to stop the horse.
You know, I haven't seen that horse in a while. Is he okay? Because he's new to this. They have to get him some water soon.
This is a replacement for the regular horse.
He don't even want to come out and look at him. He's hiding in the corner.
He's I have to run those sidelines again. This is Donald Smith on the kickoff return. And he's stopped by Dentrition up at the 24. 10:06 is the time remaining in a rout by the Stampeders.
67-yard kickoff. It's a 13-yard return for Smith. Dwayne Dentrition, number 28, again with a special teams tackle.
It's an ass whipping.
Going down here tonight, El Martino and his mom Bubba in Section D. Welcome to Calgary. All right, we're here for the special 35.
We're going to start with the 2 nameplates.
$50,000 putt to win.
Right.
Something like this.
Time for Zanny.
That's right. So many people told me, look,
You get 50 grand, like John Murphy. That's how it's done.
no.
Trevor's here to do.
I want that car, but he went and bought another.
Just watch it. Close your eyes and hit it. That's all I did.
15 seconds to submit.
I'll give you like 50 grand, Richard. Like it would never happen. Oh, no. Another 35-yard punt, Cliff Butler. Let's cheer him on.
In Calgary, Stampeders are in the process of routing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In fact, let's amend that. It's already a rout. Two more names went up on the Stampeder Wall of Fame at McMahon Stadium tonight. Tom Porzani and Earl Lunsford. And Tom Porzani is with us now a few minutes after being honored at halftime here for 11 seasons and a handful of records that still stand. But I guess first you want to say, like everybody else, you're in awe of Doug Flutie's performance tonight, Tom.
It's pretty tough to say anything more than probably the best quarterback that would play in the CFL that has played. I know there's been lots of good ones, but he's unbelievable.
Tom, you're one of those rare guys that had the opportunity as a hometown boy to play for the hometown team, and you excelled at it, and I guess in many ways it shaped your life.
Yes, I went to, the only time I ever left Calgary was to go to university in Utah, as a matter of fact, and Calgary's my home, and I love it, and the honor today is much appreciated.
Hey, nice of me to ask you a deep question like that and give you about 20 seconds to answer it, but thanks for your time. Congratulations on being honored tonight, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Don?
Yes, deserving recognition for Tom Porzani here at McMahon Stadium. The pass over the middle and a big hit put on Gerald Alphen as he made the catch from Doug Kraft.
It destroyed his face mask, Don. Look at that. Look at the hit. Broke. Nose is bleeding, everything. Perfect shot there by ISO camera. Gosh, what a hit.
Laid it on Gerald Alphen.
That's one of the dangers of making a catch over the middle.
Well, one of those long crossing routes, right? Watch the hit by Kraft right here. Whoa, what a, put that shoulder right in his face, and we saw when he came up, it just destroyed his face mask. It bent it down, cut him across the bridge of the nose, and he's still down at the 45-yard line right now.
Well, the two corners, Douglas Kraft and Junior Thurman, felt they were going to be tested tonight by Matt Dunnigan because Dunnigan had success working on Edmonton's corners last week and establishing the league record. But give Gerald Alphen some credit for concentrating on the football and hanging on to it despite that punishing hit, because he really took a blow from Doug Kraft.
That was one of those tenacious hits. I mean, you live for those when you're a football player because you don't get many of them. And when you get a chance to line up a player like that, it's not a dirty hit or anything. That's just good, clean, hard-nosed football. He put the shoulder in there, and Alphen felt every bit of it.
Ross Hodgkinson came out to see if Alphen was okay. Pat Clayton went out on the field to look after Douglas Kraft. And Gerald Alphen is going to go out of the football game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Looked like he might have a cut across the bridge of the nose. You can see him holding the gauze up there trying to stop the bleeding, but just a marvelous defensive play that time by Kraft. Great concentration by Alphen to be able to hold on to that football.
Boyko comes in to replace Alphen. And Coleman takes over from Kraft. Here's the pass for Jackson. He's got it. Fine catch down at the 20-yard line. That ball fluttered a bit, but Jackson was able to concentrate on its flight and haul it in for a gain of 48.
Well, see, Kraft left the game after that last hit on Alphen, so you bring in Marvin Coleman out on the corner, one-on-one against Alfred Jackson, and Jackson runs off and leaves him. And Matt's a smart quarterback. He's a veteran. He knows when you get a new player in the game, go after him, and he was able to victimize him on the first play in.
1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 20-yard line. He played as a receiver at San Diego State. When he went to the NFL, he was converted to a defensive back, and when he initially came to Winnipeg, he was a defensive back, but he's now a receiver. Quick inside pass to Gerald Wilcox, and Finlay reacted just as quickly.
Well, the opening game of last season down in Sacramento when Winnipeg played the Gold Miners, he played both ways in that game when they lost one of the receivers in that game. He came in, he started as a defensive back, and had to play the first quarter of the game at both positions, receiver and defensive back.
Kraft is back in the football game. Coleman goes to the bench. Gerald Alphen has not returned as Alan Boyko is still in. 2nd and 6 Winnipeg. 7:56 remaining in the third quarter. Dunnigan lobs it up for Jackson. Can't He made a great effort in trying to haul that pass in and did manage to get a hand on it.
Third down, 6 Winnipeg.
Well, Jackson trying to run that fade in the corner and got behind the coverage, but Matt just couldn't get the ball to him. You see right here, Matt trying to come with the lob pass. Jackson just couldn't get out to it, right off his hands right there. Great effort, though, by Jackson. Matt Dunnigan hanging in the pocket. Kit Leonard coming on that halfback blitz, putting that helmet right in the chest.
At the 15-yard line, it will be 3rd and 6 Winnipeg, and Troy Westwood comes in to attempt a 23-yard field goal. And Westwood, who has had some problems this year on his first field goal attempt of the night, splits the uprights with 7:29 remaining in the third.
Everybody stand up and let the CFL know that we're live and rolling here in Calgary. The 1994 training camp. All right, can see the road now.
That's
Djokovic.
Yeah.
Jason Djokovic.
Jason Djokovic.
Thanks again to the locale people of Beatrice.
They need one. He should be tired already. They're running like a dog tonight.
Anytime banking by telephone is as close as your fingertips. Whether you're at home at work or anywhere there's
Alfred's okay. He's on the sideline at the 50.
And financial information. Anytime banking by telephone available at Calgary Treasury branches.
Yeah, Don, you want to play with that? Beat him like
Calgary Stampeders and Xerox Canada are both proud supporters of the Stay in School program designed by our very own Mark McLaughlin. We'd like to welcome all those students here in the Xerox Stay in School section. It is section J.
Watch your back, Scott.
Yeah. Well, that last one, he picked the wrong side. Yeah, he rolled it.
Well, it's been a tough night for Winnipeg safety Jason Djokovic in more ways than one.
He's laid out here on the turf of McMahon Stadium. He looks a little exhausted right there. Heat exhaustion may have gotten to him. He's been running often, chasing those halfbacks. You see Gerald Alford on the sideline. He got a cut across the bridge of his nose right there. They have to do a helmet face mask repair for him and get him back in the game.
Wiggins on the kickoff return. And he was trapped by Randolph at the 40-yard line. Had he been able to get outside Randolph, he had some room. A 17-yard run back for Brian Wiggins.
Well, hopefully that field goal on that last drive will help the momentum of this Winnipeg defense, because Calgary's been just moving up and down the field at will against them.
7:23 remaining in the third quarter. 6 touchdown passes for Doug Flutie. And he has scored 2. He has rushed for 99 yards and passed for 394.
When you look at Matt Dunnigan's numbers of last week of 713 yards, he only had 5 touchdown passes.
Merrill Brown is now in playing safety for Winnipeg. Stewart tried to go inside and was caught by Randolph.
Down from behind. Near the line of scrimmage by Paul Randolph.
Seems like that field goal might have rolled a little motivation to the defense. Randolph coming up, making the good defensive play at the line of scrimmage. Maybe a loss of a half a yard on the play by Stewart as he tried to run the sweep.
Errol Brown played most of the season last year with the Saskatchewan Roughriders before joining Winnipeg for a couple of games. He was in Saskatchewan's camp again this year before coming back to Winnipeg. And he now is in the ball game, replacing safety Jason Djokovic. Doug Flutie throws for Pee-wee Smith, incomplete. Smith was wide open, and he knows he should have had that one.
Well, Flutie could have easily run for that first down also, but he saw Smith, as you say, wide open. Smith, once again, as receivers have done most of the time tonight, when they drop passes, he took his eyes off the ball, lost his concentration, and let it fall to the turf. Now Martino's in the punt once again.
But Tony Martino is excited about tonight's football game. His parents are here to watch him play. They haven't seen too much of Tony tonight. He hasn't had to punt very often.
Well, isn't that normally the case? You buy a lot of extra tickets, and all of a sudden you don't get a chance to work.
This is only his third punt of the ball game. Boyko takes it on the dead run, and he goes down at the 40-yard line.
You know, we've seen some serious collisions out here tonight. I mean, in every situation, receiving, punt, returning, and that time again with Boyko taking that hit on collision.
And the fans who came to tonight's football game were presented with cowbells, and they are now ringing them, obviously, in support of the performance of their football heroes, leading 57-18.
They keep bringing them just on the points. They could be wore out when they leave the stadium.
Jackson makes the catch. A good move on the sidelines, and he gets some extra yardage on the play, taking it to the Calgary 54.
Nice, nifty move by Alfred Jackson on the sideline. He's done well tonight when Flutie's throwing the ball to the outside to him. He's come up with the big catches right here on the quick hitch pass right here at the sideline. Turns it up on Kraft, gets back inside, and he's tripped up at the last moment when Kraft comes back from out of bounds and grabs him around the foot.
5:20 remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg 1st and 10. The ball is at the Calgary 54-yard line. 57-18. The Stampeders lead it. Flanagan tried to throw it to Jackson on the sidelines. It was a hurried throw, and it went out of bounds.
Kenny Walker with the excellent pressure. The young man playing weak side defensive end for Calgary. You'll see him here working against Chris Walby as Matt Dunnigan comes to the outside. Walker does a good job of keeping contained, but look at how he takes Matt to the turf. This is a strong young man right here.
2nd and 10. Walker was obtained by Calgary in a trade that saw Pat Mann go to Hamilton. Dumped off to Woodside. Woodside trying to follow the blocking of Chris Walby. But penetration was made by Matt Finlay to bring him down.
Woodside not able to get out around the corner. Once again, Kenny Walker doing what you do when you're on the weak side. Do not lose contain. He strung that play out, allowed the rest of the defenders to come over and corral Woodside for a minimal gain on the play.
Many people thought that when Walker initially came over to Calgary that it would be only a temporary move, and that once Eric Johnson returned from the injured list that Walker might be replaced.
I don't know about that, Don. I mean, he's playing well, and he's doing all the things that Coach Buono and the rest of the staff have expected of him, and he's getting better each game.
Absolutely. Coleman takes the ball at his own 4. He is able to get it back out to about the 8, tackled there by Darryl Sampson. There's also a penalty flag in the play with 4:21 remaining in the third quarter. We'll sort it out, but first, let's go down to the sidelines and Scott.
Don, the word on a very subdued Winnipeg bench on Jason Jakovic is that he suffered a shot to the head earlier in the game, and on top of that, he's dehydrated, so he's a bit woozy, but he's okay. But nonetheless, as you can see with his equipment off, he's not going to go back into the game, and not to make light of his injury, but I would suggest that alone would make him the luckiest member of the Winnipeg defense tonight.
Scott, can you do one thing? Can you get a shot of that face mask that Gerald Alphen had taken off and replaced on his helmet?
Well, since my role is to be the investigative journalist on this program, I shall check it out, James, and get back to you at first opportunity.
Thank you, sir. There'll be a gratuity in it for you.
Thank you very much.
First down at 10, Stampeders at the 3.
Penalty half the distance to the goal line, takes the ball back to the 3.5. Flutie operating from the shotgun for Wiggins. It's incomplete. Donald Smith had good position on him. It will be 2nd and 10.
You know, I like the position that these Winnipeg corners use. They play that inside out, using the sideline as that secondary defender. And Donald Smith that time played Wiggins perfectly. He squeezed him into the sideline, not allowing him to come back inside. And he tried to go over the top of Smith, but he just didn't have enough room to work with. Excellent coverage by Smith.
James, I have to ask you a question. You like the position they've used? Flutie's thrown for 6 touchdown passes.
That was the slots. I said the corners. I said the corners. Now the slots have been victimized. We'll get to them in the next program.
Knocked away play by Temple as the pass was intended for Stewart. And the Bombers are going to get the ball back in good field position. Perhaps the best field position that they have had at any time tonight to start an offensive series.
Well, they've come out and they played a nice third quarter thus far. Temple with great coverage flying out, getting on top of Stewart on the plate, batting it away. And as you said, they're going to end up probably with their best field position on an exchange of the ball game right here.
One thing Winnipeg always has had during the Cal Murphy regime, linebackers who have speed.
Well, Don, the thing that they do when they go search for the line, they look for the linebacker that fits their mold. They don't go out and look for just any linebacker. If you don't fit their physical stature, what they're looking for, that 6 foot, 220, they don't even look at him.
Boyko takes the third down punt and brings it back to the 36-yard line, where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will scrimmage first and 10 when we return.
After a 45-yard kick. Blair Zer with the special teams tackle. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome your 1994 Calgary Stampeders Outsiders. Complicated juices and soft Blair Athletics.
You want to start off with what it's supposed to look like?
This is a good one. Is it hot in here or is it just me?
It's warm in here.
Jesus.
They got a pretty good crowd here tonight.
Oh yeah, this looks to be about 26. I mean, you know.
57-18 Calgary over Winnipeg, so the rout at McMahon Stadium is official, and I'm under orders from my producer James Curry to find out what happened to Gerald Alphin's face mask, and here it is. This is the one that took off his helmet. First glance doesn't look that bad, but if you check the top bar and compare it to this one, you can see that this one was bent way back. This is the bad one here, the one I'm holding, and it was bent way back and almost hit Alphin in the face, almost broke off there, and Bomber equipment manager tells me he's never seen one bent that badly. So that's the story out of James' assignment complete. Is there anything else I can do?
Hey, you've got it covered, Scott. Just have the car ready when the game's over, please.
Okay, I will.
Canadian Airlines, the official airline.
You're taking over director, producer, commentator.
You mean I'm in for a raise?
I doubt that.
Oh, okay.
Well, Gerald Alphin is back in the football game
Bombers
with
with the football, Calgary 36.
new helmet, new face mask. And Dunnigan is throwing for Wilcox. He can't get to him. Dunnigan had to hurry the throw. Kenton Leonard was coming on a blitz.
That halfback blitz once again. Calgary has mixed up their blitzes quite well, and they've surprised Matt on a couple different occasions. They brought Knox from the free safety, Leonard from the halfback, and Johnson from his linebacker position.
26,243 at McMahon Stadium tonight, and they have enjoyed what they have witnessed as the Stampeders have racked up 57 points with still 2:57 remaining in the third quarter.
A perfect opening game thus far for the Stampeders, the last CFL team to open up at home. But quite a contrast from the last game that they played here at McMahon Stadium back late November of last year.
Weather conditions were a little different as well, weren't they? Intended for Wilcox, Kenton Leonard was defending against him.
It's always the same up here in the box, isn't it?
Incomplete, intended for Gerald Wilcox, number 87.
What the Stampeders would have given to have the Grey Cup weather conditions for the Western Final against Edmonton.
Oh, it was marvelous that day, Winnipeg versus Edmonton, +8 at kickoff of the game. Just a marvelous facility here at McMahon Stadium. Larry Rickman and the city of Calgary did a fine job of hosting the Grey Cup last year. And we can only hope for the same at BC Place this year in Vancouver.
Yes, the Grey Cup game at BC Place on Sunday, November the 27th. Troy Westwood will attempt a 44-yard field goal. Bob Cameron will hold. And it's wide this time. And goes for a single point.
Westwood, this is it to the right. Coleman
who led the league last year in the 40 to 49-yard range with 12 out of 14. Kicks it for a single point with 2:15 remaining in the third quarter. Scott?
Another reminder for audience that tomorrow on CBC Sports we'll have the completion of the Export A Inc. Skins game from Richelieu Valley in Montreal. Fred Couples led the field of 4 today with $75,000, but tomorrow he, Tom Watson, Nick Price, and Lee Trevino will divide up the remainder of the $270,000 purse in the Export A Inc. Skins game, and we'll have it for you. And our next telecast of the CFL on CBC is this coming Thursday. Ottawa plays the Tiger Cats in Hamilton. Don?
John Gregory's Hamilton Ticats still looking for their first win of the season. Sapunjas makes the catch at the 45-yard line, a gain of 9.
Takes the pass for a gain of 7.
Doug Flutie looks to be settling down to go back to the things that got him the big lead in the first half. His inside slots. Dave Sapunjas working one-on-one inside, able to pick up 8 yards on the play.
538 total yards for the Stampeders, with still 16 and a half minutes remaining in the football game.
Well, Winnipeg has done a fine job here in the third quarter. They've been able to stop the bleeding somewhat.
Flutie with a quarterback sneak picks up a first down, taking it up to the 50-yard line.
First down, Stampeders.
If the Stampeders win this one, and I don't think there's much doubt they will, that will set the stage for a big battle at McMahon Stadium next Friday night as Wally Buono's team entertains Dave Ritchie's BC Lions off to a 3-0 start. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers return home on Thursday night to face Baltimore.
Well, and the thing about it, you can't package up all these points and take them into next week's game. They're going to have to stay sharp as the fourth quarter rolls in here very shortly and keep that productivity running.
Alan Pitts trying to make sure they do. He got up and continued to run, but he had been knocked down by Bobby Evans.
Alan Pitts makes the catch at the 53-yard line.
Once again, Flutie wants to go to one of his slots. Prior to that, he had gone to Dave Sapunjas. Now Alan Pitts. And what you do, you soften up the inside of that secondary. You got Earl Brown now in playing safety, who sat down for most of the game. They were able to victimize Djokovic. Now they're going after Earl Brown.
Offside, Calgary number 18.
That'll help you get open.
Yeah, if you jump the snap count, there's no question you can get into a pretty good position.
Allen doesn't feel that he was offside, but the officials called it, and now they got a lineup for 1st and 15 instead of 2nd and 2.
23 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The ball is at the 45. Temple is after Flutie. Flutie circles to get away. And he dumps it off to Wiggins for a gain of about 12 yards.
God, as a defensive lineman, that is the most frustrating situation that you can be in. Doug Flutie maneuvering all around, his linemen are peeling back, picking up blocks. You got linebackers and defensive linemen pursuing him. Can't get a proper angle on him. You see Temple here trying to get outside as Covington is holding a wall. Templeton comes underneath. He goes back. You see McCollins, and Stan Mikowicz comes up. He's looking at a blocker there, and he finds Wiggins in the soft spot.
2nd and 3, Calgary, and what should be the final play of the third quarter. Flutie's pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage.
Flutie's pass is...
And that undoubtedly will mean that to start the fourth quarter, the Stampeders will be sending out their punting unit. So after 45 minutes of play, it's Calgary 57, Winnipeg 19.
We've been on top of.
I get a water when you get a chance? Water and an iced tea.
Coaches Cal Murphy and Wally Guano are both two-time winners of the CFL Coach of the Year award. Murphy won in '83 and '84, Guano in '92 and '93. One other coach put together back-to-back awards. That was Jack Gotta with the Ottawa Rough Riders in '72-73. Pressure coming up the middle from Stan Mikawas on Martino's third down punt, and it's a big one. It bounces into the end zone, and Boyko will take it out the back of the end zone for a Calgary single point. 58-19 now. The Stampeders lead Winnipeg. Well, Tony Martino's parents made the trip to Calgary to take in this game. We'll be pleased with that booming punt of 71 yards.
At any lottery ticket center, get into the game with Sports Select.
Martino spent some time with the BC Lions before finding employment with the Calgary Stampeders. And he's had a fairly easy night tonight here at McMahon.
He's really had no pressure on him, Don. You know, his punts really hasn't been necessary to try to nail him in any position on the field.
Williams is open at the 50.
First and 10.
And that's a first down for Winnipeg.
But once again, Matt able to get his receiver, David Williams, inside on that slant route. And you'll see David coming over the middle. Great concentration on Thurman. He's had his way with Thurman most of the evening, but he just hasn't been able to get down the field often enough to get into the end zone.
25 yards to David Williams on the throw from Matt Dunnigan.
First and 10 at the Calgary 50.
Blitz was coming, and oh, does Gerald Alphin take another hit? This one from Junior Thurman. The two corners, Kraft and Thurman, have punished Gerald Alphin tonight.
I don't know if Gerald said something to Matt earlier that Matt didn't appreciate, but Matt has, you know, left him hung up out there to dry twice. But watch Junior Thurman come in here, put that shoulder right on the side of Gerald Alphin's head, and once again, he's down hard, and he looked a little woozy getting up from that play. Junior Thurman, great reaction once the ball was in the air. He closed perfectly and timed it and was there with the ball.
Here comes the blitz again. Bombers pick it up. Williams makes the catch, and he's got another first down, and that will be 130 receiving yards for David Williams.
Well, you know, last week David Williams caught 10 passes, and you know, seems that every time Matt has gone to him one-on-one against Junior Thurman, he's been able to get open, and maybe should go to him more here in the fourth quarter.
Through 3 quarters of play, this is the statistical story. 555 net yards for the Stampeders. Dunnigan on first down. He's got Jackson open. Jackson, who had 308 yards against Edmonton last week and 4 touchdowns, will be close to a first down depending on the spot.
He's going to be a couple yards short on the spot right here, but when he's gone to the outside on those deep out routes and the up routes, he's had some success. He's had the problems tonight coming over the middle. The guys have taken their eyes off of the football.
Second and 2, and Woodside should have the first down.
Keith Woodside, number 23, the ball carrier.
Center Dave Van Conant lost his helmet on that play. They're still playing hard down there in the trenches. David Black right there, we get a shot of him, a veteran of many wars here for the Blue Bombers. Center Van Conant just putting his helmet back on. The big guys in the trenches, they don't know what giving up is, and they play hard for 60 minutes.
First and 10, Winnipeg at the Calgary 28.
It is a Winnipeg first down from the 28. Dunnigan is in trouble, and he won't escape this time. He ran back into the pursuit of Kenny Walker.
Excellent pass rush lanes by the Calgary defensive front. If you look at them, they had a control rush on the defensive line. All four came up in the lanes that you designed. You will get a good shot of them right here from behind the quarterback. As they come up, you'll see them right here, stay in their lanes. They squeeze down the pocket as Matt tries to get outside. Zisakovic squeezes him back inside to Walker. He goes down. The other Zisakovic seals the sack right there on the play. Great defensive line play by Calgary.
11:20 remaining in the football game.
Second and 10 now.
Winnipeg facing 2nd and 10 from the 28 of Calgary. Dunnigan dumps it off to Woodside, and Woodside will get the first down, taking it to the Calgary 16.
Nice open field move by Keith Woodside. Matt Dunnigan with the little safety valve swing pass out in the right flat. Woodside one-on-one is going to be very hard to stop in open field. Coach Cal Murphy said he really enjoyed watching this young man run with the football, and that time he displayed some of those moves.
Winnipeg 1st and 10. The ball is at the Calgary 16. Jackson lines up wide to the right. Williams to the left. Swing pass to Woodside, and he can't hang on. Kenton Leonard came up and made contact with him at about the same instant the ball arrived.
It looked like he might have got a little ahead of himself once again. Tried to take off Don prior to the ball arriving, but Kenton Leonard closing fast from his halfback position wasn't going to allow him to make much more yardage if he had caught the pass.
2nd and 10 for the Blue Bombers. Cal Murphy, I suppose at this stage, is somewhat relaxed. He was shell-shocked in the first half.
Well, you know, they've stopped it somewhat.
Dunnigan's in trouble, gets the pass away, and Wilcox gets the ball and then loses control as it comes loose, and the Stampeders recover. 10:04 remaining in the football game. 58-19, Calgary leads.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The 1994 Calgary Stampeder Outriders, sponsored by Tropicana Juices and Software Athletics.
I want to go back out there.
Right to tape? Okay. Back in Calgary, a Stampede leftover for you now. The Stampede's the largest outdoor show on earth, and it ended last week. The $50,000 first prize went to Rod Hay. Took it away with rides like this. Mind you, we think that ride was nothing compared to one by one of our finest cameramen, Jim Nielsen, who made his on-camera debut on horseback a couple of weeks ago.
Why don't you saddle on up and join me and my gang from
Yes, things were going along fine until the horse realized he had a city slicker on board. As they say on Big Time TV, watch what happens here.
Oh, can you stop him?
Whoa! Jim's not with us tonight. He's working on a diving meet in Montreal, but we want to thank Jim for the invention of what we'll call the horse cam from now on. He wanted to make a couple of points. First, he lasted 8 seconds, so if there was a cameraman's rodeo, he would have won it. And second, it was all very funny, providing you weren't on the horse, huh?
I wonder, can you stop me? Want somebody else to stop me? Steve Taylor is now in at quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders, and his first pass attempt is incomplete. A low throw.
He got good pressure up the front from Lloyd Lewis. You know, those big guys up front, they have to play 60 minutes because they don't have anyone to replace him. And Lloyd Lewis coming from the right of your screen right here. You see him coming right in. Steve Taylor is greeted by Lloyd Lewis on his first play of the game, and you don't like to start that many as a quarterback that way.
One thing Jim Nielsen did, though, even when he went flying off the horse, he still protected his camera.
Well, he's had a dive in me. He would have scored about a 4.5 on that reverse.
Stewart makes the catch, breaks the contact with Errol Brown, and turns it into a first down.
Don, there's been some vicious hitting going on out here tonight. Earl Brown came up on Stewart out in the flat, and I mean, he just leveled the shoulder, but Tony Stewart is a very solid back. Coach Wally Bono said he was pleased, you know, how solid and durable that he is. Watch this hit, bam, by Earl Brown. Comes up, drops the shoulder, but Stewart drops his shoulder also, recovers, and picks up a first down out to the 28-yard line.
Steve Taylor has taken over from Doug Flutie. He gives the ball to Stewart.
The call on the ground once again. Carries
and he'll pick up just a couple of yards.
Rob Davidson, number 69, with the stop for the Bombers.
Flutie, it appears, has retired for the night. 6 touchdown passes and 414 passing yards. So he won't get a shot at the record of 8 touchdown passes in one game.
I think he'll be quite pleased, though, Don, with his performance of tonight. 6 touchdown passes versus only 1 interception, and his team with a commanding lead here in the fourth quarter.
And Steve Taylor is very happy for this chance to play. And he throws intended for Alan Pitts, incomplete. He was being covered by Donald Smith. There are penalty flags back at the line of scrimmage. Steve Taylor, the quarterback out of the University of Nebraska, initially came into the Canadian Football League with the Edmonton Eskimos in 1989 in Calgary as the backup to Doug Flutie. He obviously doesn't get many opportunities to play.
Well, you got to realize he probably has the toughest position of every player who comes to camp for Calgary. Knowing that Doug Flutie is a starting quarterback, and they're bringing in a young quarterback every year to compete against him, and he can hope to beat out the new quarterback that they bring in the training camp, but he can only hope to be a backup to Doug Flutie. That's not an enviable position to be in, but he's a fine young man who accepts that challenge every year. He comes out, he wins his job, and now he's getting a chance to play in this game.
And he immediately comes to the bench to confer with offensive coordinator John Hufnagel and try and find out what went wrong on the last offensive series. Tony Martino with a 51.8 punting average. His last kick of 71 yards for a single point. It's been a long night for the Winnipeg defense. Goes back to the 32.
Alan Boyko.
And he doesn't get back any further than the 38 with 7:38 remaining in the football game.
Rick Schott with the tackle for Calgary after a 45-yard touchdown kick.
Red dog. I got a problem.
You're right.
Never mind for a minute whether we got the wrong tree or the right tree. Why are you talking about the If there's something out there, it sure as hell ain't gonna come down if you are more hell.
Thank you, Mark.
Calgary loving every moment of what's turned out to be a Stampeder record for points in a single game. 58 of them as part of renovations for last November's Grey Cup. They built a giant press box atop this side of the stand, since been converted into private boxes. 13 of them, 12 of them have been sold to corporations, so that's good news. And there's all kinds of signage down here on the field, which indicates there's a fair amount of corporate support for the Stampeders in Calgary. But owner Larry Rickman would like to have his lease settled. What can you tell us about that?
Scott, it's really the last piece of the puzzle. When I bought the team, the attendances were down, season tickets were down, and things were tough. But things have turned. We have Doug. We've had winning seasons. We've had our tickets up. The key now is we just got to get our stadium deal done, and the team's here forever.
I'll give you a chance to say that this threat to move the team to San Antonio is an idle threat. Go ahead.
It's a very real threat if it doesn't work here. But this is my hometown, and we're going to make it work.
Okay, Larry. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Scott.
Don?
Well, the Calgary Stampeders made a quarterbacking change, and so have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Sam Garza has taken over, and his first pass into the hands of Gerald Wilcox. There was also a penalty flag downfield. Garza, of course, had to take over for Matt Dunnigan when Dunnigan went down with the Achilles tendon injury.
Decline. First down.
And Garza was the Winnipeg quarterback right here at McMahon Stadium the last time the Bombers played in Calgary in the Grey Cup loss to the Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, Sammy looks forward to a little playing time here, to see if he can get something going for this Winnipeg offense. They haven't been consistent tonight.
Dumped off to Woodside, and Woodside is caught by Johnson after a pickup of 2.
Elijah Johnson came into this game tonight, and he had not been credited with a tackle in the first 2 games. Very surprising by the outside linebacker from Calgary, but he's one of those guys who's all over the field. He had a fumble recovery, a big fumble recovery late in the game in Baltimore last week that stopped the drive on a 3rd and short by Baltimore when Tuipulotu and Ham mishandled a handoff.
Johnson last year led the Stampeders in tackles. Here comes a halfback blitz. Pass intended for Wilcox down at the 25-yard line. But Garza had to hurry his throw as Greg Knox was coming on a safety, or Greg Frères, I should say, on a safety blitz.
The Fears came through, and they've been coming up. They've been mixing up the players on those blitzes. And that time, Fears coming in a backup role, and he got through cleanly on Garza and forced him to deliver that ball before he wanted to. And very fortunate that Kraft didn't pick that one off at the end.
6:30 remaining in the football game. The most points ever scored against a Winnipeg football team. Coleman takes the 3rd down, punt by Bob Camera. Loses the football, but everything's going Calgary's way tonight. The ball rolls out of bounds with 6:13 remaining here at McMahon Stadium.
It's a 40-yard kick. Fans, be aware that due to an injury accident, Crowchild Trail southbound is very congested. Please exit on University Drive, the west side of the stadium, for southbound traffic. North and southbound Crowchild, the southeast exit is closed.
Tonight's crispy crunch of the game was supplied by
How have you seen this team get 1 week score?
You're going to try and get that? Okay.
We ain't playing this shit. It's all real.
Hey, Rogers, I got a number for you, baby.
Congratulations.
You know what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Crispy Crunch. Let's go, Stampeders.
You looking out, boy.
You doing it?
You know what I'm talking about. They're going to be nothing nice. That's y'all.
Canadian Airlines is proud to fly to the game, event, or tournament. After all, there's no substitute for the
58-19 Calgary with 6:13 to go on the 4th quarter at McMahon Stadium. Sometimes, Don, you can say that the score doesn't really tell the story of the game. It wasn't as bad as all that, but on this night, I think you'd agree that this score is very much an accurate reflection of what's happened in this contest. Look at the first quarter alone, 28 points for Calgary, 22, 7-1 for the total of 58. That's a Stampeders record. Some pictures now that tell you why football players carefully guard their birth date. Unfortunately, for linebacker Alondra Johnson, who celebrated his 29th yesterday, word got out, and here's that strange football ritual. His teammates tried to tape him to the goalpost here at McMahon. The objective is to lash him to the post, render him immobile, and then maybe torture him with a couple of buckets of cold water, leave him there for 2 or 3 hours. These football players, what kidders. Fortunately for Johnson, his strength prevented him from being lashed to the post. 3 rolls of tape later, his teammates gave up, and doesn't look any worse to wear. Don, when is your birthday? Because the crew and I were planning kind of a special ceremony.
Scott, I'm not revealing it, but I know when yours is. Steve Taylor keeps for a first down. Bruce Covington was one of the interested spectators at that taping ceremony of Alondra Johnson yesterday, and he said last year in his birthday, they taped him upside down naked to the goalpost.
That's a lot of weight to haul around. Well, Don, if they do find out when your birthday is, they got to get an okay from the fire marshal if they plan on lighting candles now.
I don't think they'd be lighting candles. It would take too long to ignite them all. First and 10. Pass was intended for Moore. Bobby Evans almost picked it off. It will be second and 10 Calgary.
Just a little underthrown that time by Taylor, and that comes from rust when you're not sitting around. You don't have the timing working with this first group of receivers. Moore had run an excellent route, got inside, but Evans made a great recovery on the ball to jump the route and knock it away at the last moment.
Second and 10, the ball is at the 49-yard line. Taylor sends 3 receivers wide to the left. And Taylor's pass intended for Sapunjas. And you won't see Dave Sapunjas, the leading receiver last year with 103 catches, drop a pass like that very often.
Well, that ball got there a little quicker than what Sapunjas is accustomed to. Taylor has a little stronger arm than Doug Flutie, and he gunned that one, and you can see it got to Sapunjas' body and bounced away, and Taylor wasn't too pleased because he gets a limited amount of playing time, and he wants the guys to catch everything that he throws to him.
11 is standing at his own 35-yard line.
Martino taking plenty of time before launching this third down punt. Donald Smith was coming in quickly. He almost got through. Boyko takes the ball at the 21. He's down immediately.
Corralled immediately.
You know, one of the things over the past couple of years that Winnipeg hasn't had is a big return player. Nathaniel Bolton came in last year, and they thought that he might be the man, and he was injured a couple of times. They keep Alan Boyko back, a sure-handed receiver, but not great far as average. He only averaged 4.5 yards of return coming into the game, and, you know, Cal Murphy would rather just have control of the ball instead of trying to get the big return out of it.
But Boyko is versatile. He has played safety. He's been on kickoff return teams, punt return teams. He's been a wide receiver and a slot back. Garza at quarterback. Jackson takes another punishing hit from Douglas Kraft.
Garza's pass for Alfred Jackson goes incomplete.
Hey, the 2 cornerbacks from Calgary came out tonight with an attitude. They watched the cornerbacks from Edmonton last week be victimized. Alfred Jackson driving off, he sets down, Douglas Kraft closes, and he puts that helmet right in the chest, and that's where you want to play, the perfect hit position from his cornerback, one-on-one coverage. Guy's playing with an attitude. Got a little mean streak in him, Coach Wally Bono would tell you.
Boy, you're not kidding in that assessment of the 2 corners, Kraft and Thurman. They have delivered some punishing blows in tonight's football game. Garza is throwing deep. He and Williams apparently got a little mixed up in the pattern that Williams was supposed to run.
And it's 3rd down and 10.
Williams broke that one off to the inside. Garza thought he was going to continue up the sideline, and the only people there were the 2 defensive backs. And you could see David Williams as he walks off the field. This is not the outcome that he was looking for. The dejection on the Winnipeg bench. Not many happy campers. What a big difference that a week will make.
Yeah, last week, Bombers hammered Edmonton 50-35. Tonight they gave up 50 first-half points to the Calgary Stampeders. And Cal Murphy was optimistic heading into this game that his team would play well tonight against the Stampeders.
Well, then the kickoff came.
And then on the opening kickoff, Coleman took it 63 yards.
Pee-wee Smith, number 86, for the 4-yard punt return.
3:16 is the time remaining, and our next CFL telecast on CBC on Thursday night from Iberwin Stadium in Hamilton as the Ticats look for their first win of the year against the Ottawa Roughriders. Hamilton losing this past week to the BC Lions in overtime. 42-25 the score on Thursday, and on Wednesday Edmonton beat Ottawa 23-21 on the last play field goal. Taylor hands off to Stewart. Stewart following the blocking of Blair Zerber. He'll be very close to a first down. 2:53 is the time left here at McMahon Stadium.
All the way.
You can relive tonight's game in tomorrow's Calgary Sun, your ultimate sports paper in the Calgary Sun. Calgary Stampeders would like to thank QR77 Radio.
Get rid of it as quickly as we can.
Tonight's game.
Can't find him.
Hey, remember the catch that Wilcox made and he fumbled on? He hit the second half. That's basically been the way things have gone tonight for them.
Well, how about the Woodside? It was 7-7 when Woodside, no, 14-7 when Woodside fumbled it. Kickoff return.
Yeah.
Right there.
Once again, a reminder that the southeast exit onto Crowchild Trail is closed. Due to an
In a
accident
58-19 football game, it's tough to say there was a turning point. But you know, it was 14-7, Calgary leading Winnipeg. On the first two possessions, the Stampeders scored touchdowns. Keith Woodside on a kickoff return fumbled the ball, and Calgary came right back and scored another touchdown, and that made it 21-7. You know, that fumble by Woodside early, and I think in the first 3 minutes of the football game, could have made a difference.
Yeah, it will make a huge difference because they got the opening kickoff, and you recall they scored one play later after the opening kickoff, came back, Winnipeg scored, came back down, Woodside fumbles, and it was almost took the wind out of Winnipeg's sails. But if they can find anything good out of this game, is that here in the second half is that they've held Calgary to only 8 points. So it's been a tale of two different ball games.
First and 10 for the Stampeders. Steve Taylor continues at quarterback from the 53-yard line. Pressure as Taylor throws deep for Pee Wee Smith. Incomplete. Barres was able to get a hand on it and break it up.
Good play by Ken Barres for the 42-on defense for the Bombers.
Steve Taylor laid that one out about as far as he could with the pressure that was coming up the middle. You'll get Clark coming on a linebacker blitz, and he's going to level Taylor just as he lets that one go and takes him to the turf unkindly. Great pressure by the Winnipeg defenders. These guys are playing 60 minutes of football tonight. You see him right there with all that intensity. He has a target lined up, and he was going to get it.
Greg Clark is still down. Cal Murphy saying that at the end of last year, he was his best linebacker. High praise for a man who did not join the team until the 30th of September. Chris Sangaris will come in to take over for Greg Clark.
This has been a tough game in many ways for the Winnipeg players tonight. You've had the receivers that have taken a beating from these Calgary secondary players, and now you have linebacker Greg Clark leaving the field with a little bit of assistance right there. It's been a tough night for him on the scoreboard and on the playing surface.
2:30 the time remaining. The Bombers will return home on a charter flight tonight, and they will prepare for Baltimore on Thursday at Winnipeg Stadium.
Down to 10 to Calgary 53.
Wiggins comes back to the quarterback to make the catch, and he'll be close to a first down.
Don, he might have had that first down when he made the reception, but he came back, tried to circle inside, and the pursuit of the Bombers' defense caught up with him, and I think he's going to be about a yard short here on the placement.
They're calling for a measurement, but it doesn't appear to be close enough to warrant bringing the chain out onto the field. 3rd and 1. The handoff to Blair Zer, and he should have the first down. He had to get between the 45 and the 46, and it appears as though he has succeeded.
They're moving the chains, and Blair Zer, with one of his rare carries of the football season, picks up the first down with 2 minutes to go. Is that Doug? Oh.
Well, Doug is relaxed at the bench, but doesn't appear to be sitting quite as comfortably as that gentleman.
Just call it flashing the number there.
Go get him! Go get him! Go get him!
Good pass over the middle to Will Moore, and Will Moore made the catch, but was a little slow in getting up.
I think he might have suffered one of those turf burns, one of those receivers running without any covering on his elbow, and when you slide down on that astroturf sometimes, you have a tendency to leave a little skin behind.
With the tackle, number 30.
Steve Taylor sitting in the pocket like a seasoned quarterback, drilling one right over the middle. Will Moore, great concentration because Evans was all over him, and he brought it in for the reception for the first down.
Steve Taylor last year in a backup role to Doug Flutie only threw 56 passes, but 5 of them went for touchdowns. He was looking for an end zone toss to Pee Wee Smith and overthrew him with 1:22 remaining.
You know, sometimes people will look at a situation like this with Steve Taylor coming into the game, throwing into the end zone with the score being 58-19. He's not trying to rub it in. He is trying to get in all the work that he can, because if ever a situation came about where Doug Flutie went down, he would be the quarterback, the full-time quarterback, so he needs to be as sharp as possible and be able to execute the entire offensive arsenal that they have.
I'm sure the happiest guy in the bench when Flutie racked up 50 first-half points was Steve Taylor, saying, "Oh boy, I'm going to get a chance to play a lot tonight.
I'm playing." Hurry up, get him out of the game.
Here comes the pressure, there's the pass, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Donald Smith. And Ken Moore was able to reach out with one hand and slow down Donald Smith. And then Steve Taylor came over to help out. And with 1:09 remaining, the Bombers take over with the football at their own 32-yard line.
Frustrating right there for Steve Taylor, as the pressure got him in the pocket and forced him to deliver the ball before he wanted to. And it went high over Will Moore's head. And Donald Smith sitting back in that deep zone coverage, able to pick it off and bring it back to the sideline, get some good blocks from his teammates. As you see Steve Taylor and Ken Moore come around to run him out of bounds right at the end. Good tempo right here with the pressure on Steve Taylor. Knocks him to the turf once again.
Stampeders at the moment are a man short. They're -1 defensive lineman. And Woodside is able to spin his way up to the 39-yard line.
Looks like Lubo Zisikovic was a player who forgot to come onto the field. His first starting assignment of the season for the Calgary Stampeders, lining up beside his brother Shreko Zisikovic. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment and quite a thing to play side by side with your brother. I know the parents and both players were most likely happy this evening for that.
On second down, Wilcox goes high to make the catch in midfield. Somebody on the bench probably yelled Zizikovic, and Lubo, who hadn't started a game this year, thought they were calling for his brother.
Well, Gerald Wilcox, you can see the intensity in his eyes here. He's coming out. He knows in his mind that this one might be over, but, he still has to go out there and play, and you play every play like the first play with full intensity.
David Williams on the sidelines, and Coleman comes up to prevent him from going anywhere after making the catch, and that should be another first down.
David Williams silently tonight has had a very nice football game. Well over 100 yards and receptions once again.
Last week, Williams caught 10 for 244 yards. Tonight he has 141 receiving yards.
Once again, a reminder,
back-to-back nice weeks by David Williams. I mean, he's a steady receiver. He's number 4 all-time on the CFL touchdown reception list. And tonight, as you said, he has over 140 yards again, Don.
76 career touchdown receptions. Only Brian Kelly with 97, Tommy Scott with 88, and Terry Evanson with 80 rank ahead of David Williams in touchdown receptions.
And you know, the amazing thing about that he's done it playing with 4 different teams throughout his CFL career.
But his quarterback during his CFL career, for many of those touchdown passes, has been Matt Dunnigan.
They played on 4 separate teams together.
Gerald Alphen takes the throw from Sammy Garza, and on 2nd and 1, the Bombers convert into a first down.
4-yard gain and a Winnipeg first down.
Sammy Garza has come in. He's throwing the ball quite nicely to his arsenal of receivers. He's spreading it around, and what he's doing is that he's working into the offense. He's not trying to get it all in one play. He's taking what they give him, but what it does is that it keeps him sharp for future dates when he has to play.
Garza won't get a chance to throw. Will Johnson was in his face.
Will Johnson, number 81. And Lubo.
The pocket finally collapsed around Sammy Garza. Last season, 1993, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offensive line led the CFL in only giving up 20 quarterback sacks. And that's the first one that they've given up this season. And Sammy Garza was sacked here late in the 4th quarter with 12 seconds to go.
Well, the CFL record for sacks is 13. That was set by the Stampeders in 1980. That's the 4th sack of the year for Will Johnson. Garza throwing deep, intended for Alphen, incomplete. 3 seconds remaining.
Well, I think what you have to take out of this situation that we've had tonight, Don, is that last week Winnipeg scored a bundle of points, 50 points against Edmonton. The thing is, you can't package up those points. They came out tonight. I think they might have thought that this game was just going to parlay over from last week's game, and they came out against a hungry Calgary Stampeder team who had came off a tough fought-for victory last week in Baltimore and had their hats handed to them.
Well, I think Matt Dunnigan put it in proper perspective when he said that last week was last week. This is an entirely different game, a different defense, a different situation entirely. And people who think that we might duplicate the numbers of last week shouldn't read too much into the performance against the Eskimos carried over into this game against Calgary. Williams tosses it out, the flea flicker play. The ball is still loose and Kenny Walker's got it. And Sammy Garza has to come back to make the tackle.
Well, the situation here with the Calgary Stampeders, they started the season 0-1. They were able to get a big road victory last week in Baltimore and come home and open up in front of this crowd of over 23,000 at McMahon Stadium and get a huge victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
58-19 the final score, setting the stage for a big battle at McMahon Stadium against BC next Friday. Cal Murphy and the Bombers return home to face Baltimore on Thursday. Scott?
Okay, Don, I'm with the star of the game, Doug. Aside from the great cut that you won with Calgary, you ever enjoyed a game more than this?
I was too tired to enjoy it. The running around got me really exhausted in the first half, but it was one of those nights where people were getting open, making great plays for you, and I happened to be throwing the ball well, so things fell into place.
Winnipeg defense seemed frozen for much of tonight's game when they faced you, but surely it wasn't as easy as all that.
No, what they did a good job in the past, blitzing people, getting to the quarterback, getting in his face. We did a good job adjusting to the blitz, picking up, and pass protection, give me an opportunity to throw the ball, and we made a mess of big plays because of it.
You're calling for Matt Dunnigan. I know you want to talk to him quickly here. What do you want to say to him?
Just congratulate him on last week. I haven't talked to him since last week. Matt played a great game. He had guys fumbling the ball after the catch. Otherwise, they probably would have put 30, 40 points on the board.
7-13 for him last week. How quickly they forget. Thanks for your time,
Doug. Thanks a lot.
Two best quarterbacks in all the land hooked up at McMahon Stadium tonight, and the decision clearly went to Doug Flutie. The score tells the story of this game. We'll return to McMahon in just a moment. Where are we going for the closing here? Okay. How long do I have? Okay. Hey?
gotta show that up. You know, it's a little things. Just focus the pain, just have a little bit extra.
Do I have 40? Okay.
Oh, nice job, John. Good job. We'll see. See you down the road.
Hey? Go, Daryl! 30 seconds.
A couple of times early in the season, Doug Flutie's made the point the caliber of quarterbacking has never been better in the CFL. Turns out he was talking about himself. Two Grey Cup contenders met tonight, and only one looked like it. 58-19 the final. Tomorrow, the completion of the Export A Ink Skins game from Richelieu Valley in Montreal. Couples, Trevino, Watson, and Price will finish dividing up the $270,000 pot. Final 9 of 18 rich holes tomorrow. Our next telecast is this coming Thursday. We'll be at Iberwin in Hamilton for a meeting of the Ticats and Rough Riders. Ticats are 0-3, Ottawa 1-2, so something will have to give in this matchup. And something did here in Calgary tonight. Doug Flutie's ability was never more evident. Thanks for watching tonight, and good night from Calgary.